the mind to a limit where it needs to feed. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hates like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to My Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Let's get this camera stuck and going. How everyone is doing today. Very busy day for me today. I had a chiropractor appointment and it really stretched me out, and I wasn't feeling good as far as like physically concerned, and that chiropractor really took a lot from me today. So today's show, I'm trying to do it in 2 hours. Quote, try. I don't know if I'll be successful with that. But as you see the title of the show for today, I'm boycotting the Super Bowl. I'm not watching it. I'm not going to give them a rating. I'm not going to watch their commercials because that's what they want. They want to project their narrative onto a new individual who's watching, and they know they got all these eyes that's going to be watching the screens and watching their programming. I refuse, and I'm not going to be like diluted with all this stupidity and all projected narratives that they want to push against us and towards us. No, I don't need to be. You don't need to sell anything to me. I don't want anything that you are projecting in your commercials. I don't want to see the game, and I don't give a fuck about Bad Bunny. I am Puerto Rican myself. I was born in Miami. Parents are from Puerto Rico. Long story short, I was supposed to be born in Puerto Rico, but my mom took a trip from Puerto Rico to Florida and ended up having me in Florida. Long story short, My birth certificate is from Florida. My social security is from Puerto Rico. And trust me, my mom had to explain that to the army when I went into the army. She had to explain that to them that she had me here in Florida, and then she took me from here to Puerto Rico, and then Puerto Rico, she got my social security card from there. So it's just a whole screw up that my mom did, and that's a whole different show. But I'm definitely boycotting the Super Bowl. Oh, you can see I have my give me 1 second. My Puerto Rican hat. As you can see, it's nice and beautiful Puerto Rican hat. It's nice and pink. See, PR. Because I am Puerto Rican, and I'm not a fan of Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is just not a good bunny. He's just a little bunny that's been infiltrated by the dark force, dark energy, and especially hanging around the Kardashians really did not help. And he's far gone into the abyss. And for all I care, and listen, if an earthquake happens to the Super Bowl and a big crater opens, a big slice in the 50-yard line, and all the performers and Bad Bunny falls into the center of the earth, my prayers will be answered. Because I really don't care for the Super Bowl. I don't care for them selling me bullshit. Their game is fucking rigged. It's all monopoly. It's all about money. At the end of the day, it's about the money and the amount of money they could generate from the Super Bowl. I really don't care. I don't care who wins. Do I get a trophy? No, I don't. Do I? What is gonna end up for me? Like, what do I gain from this? Nothing. I waste time. That's what. And that's what they try to get everyone to do is waste their time watching their stupid game. I'm not gonna do it. But I'll be here live and I'll be doing a show live. So if you want to see a real entertainer and not some bunny jumping around in a dress, come watch me. My mind over your matter. Guaranteed not to wear a fucking dress. Without further ado, let's get it right into the news because we got a good little lineup for tonight. I'm going to try to do this in 2 hours. Let's see. Let's go.
Breaking new developments on the frantic search for Nancy Guthrie. Officials confirming that one of the ransom notes sent to the media has a 5 p.m. deadline today. Now, it's unclear what time zone that is. They also confirmed that the blood found on her porch does in fact belong to Nancy Guthrie. Last night, the family made an emotional plea for her safe return. And earlier, the Pima County Sheriff gave some hope that Nancy Guthrie is still alive.
We believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this.
Jonathan Hunt is standing by in Tucson. He has the latest news update for us. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Dana. What we did not get today were answers to the biggest, most important questions. Where is Nancy Guthrie? Who has her under their control right now?
Where's the video from the Ring camera?
Was a lot of new granular detail about the timeline leading up to her disappearance. The fact that she had dinner with family members believed to be her daughter Annie and Annie's husband Tommaso on Saturday night. And then this fascinating 41-minute critical time period beginning at 1:47 a.m. on Sunday. That is when her doorbell camera was disconnected. And then around
the video?
12, something was captured. They believe it was a person on another camera. What they don't know is where the video from that is. There may not in fact be any video from that moment, but the camera detected something. And then at 2:28, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker that she wears disconnected from her Apple Watch and her iPhone. The assumption obviously is that is the point at which she was taken from her home. But the big question, who has her? The sheriff says no answers.
Why her phone hasn't been tracked? Where's the video from the Ring camera, especially from the Ford camera? Even if it was ripped off, there should be a video.
Person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. To be clear,
I'm telling you, our detectives, it's just full of shit.
Consider a prime suspect. I wouldn't
Lately,
say
the
anybody's
FBI
ruled out yet.
have been
What
horrible.
if I rule you out and then later I learn something else?
And the police departments, you see, like the sheriff. Like,
now, you'll remember that earlier in the week, the sheriff's department said they were releasing the crime scene at the home. They had done their work there. Well, that turned out not to be the case because less than 24 hours yesterday evening,
did they take down the tapes?
Back to the house in force. Sheriff's
their investigation was not over yet.
With K9 units and FBI agents.
Oh man, this is shitty work.
House, including what looked to us like some sort of computer terminal or monitor, perhaps wrapped in brown paper. They put it into a car. It was driven away. So certainly something happened yesterday that led them to go back to the house and take another look at it. And then we have the question of these ransom notes, which they are still not fully authenticated by officials, but they say they are taking them seriously. And the FBI agent in charge today spoke directly to those potential kidnappers. Listen.
To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma.
You don't care. Especially if they are illegals that did this.
You still have the time
they're gonna care
to do the right
she's
thing
84?
before this becomes a much worse scenario for you.
They don't care.
Please return Nancy home.
So you mentioned that deadline mentioned in the ransom note, Dana, 5 p.m. Now, we assume that by that they mean Arizona time, not Eastern time. That's an assumption. But if they did indeed mean Arizona time, we are less than 2 hours now from that deadline. The FBI and the sheriff would not go into any detail what the threat was of what action might be carried out if that deadline is missed. But clearly, it's a very
they got about, what, 14 minutes?
Jonathan Hunt, thank you so much. And we'll get some thoughts from around the table here. Jesse Waters, what do you think is happening here?
I have no idea. No one knows. Savannah doesn't even know. At one point during the video last night, she said, "Mom, please come home if you can." So we don't know if we're dealing with a kidnapping, a hoax. We don't know anything.
No, it's not a hoax because if there's blood on the ground, how that's going to be a hoax?
Without proof of life, you have nothing. And they're not going to wire all this money to a Bitcoin account if they don't know she's alive. I don't understand the motive, because if it's about money, okay, why would you go to TMZ? Why would you make it such a huge spectacle? It's almost like the people that allegedly kidnapped this mother wanted it to go national, because, you know, if you were to kidnap somebody that didn't have a famous daughter, who couldn't contact the president of the United States, that couldn't bring the FBI into the scene, you just probably go to an anonymous wealthy family and do it cleanly. The blood indicates, because the blood goes from the house all the way out to the driveway and then stops, maybe the blood stops once you get into the car. That means there was a violent struggle and that she resisted. I hope she didn't pass away after they'd kidnapped her, and we're just praying that she's okay, because that would be so sad. It looks professional, though, because they go in and they disarm the cameras. We don't know even if the person was in the house before, as she was dropped off. That's a possibility as well. The second look, the FBI comes in and sweeps the house again. Now, last night at first,
they know who they're looking for. They're just
something in the initial
gotta get to work.
Cleared the mom's house.
They have video.
Just hearing now, the FBI, when they come in, they're always going to want to look at it themselves. And then they send the FBI to the sister's house, and there was a little scrutiny placed on the sister and the husband. And we believe they're just there because that might have been the place where they shot this video that was released last night. And it looks like they may have taken the electronics and downloaded the electronics from the sister and the husband, just to make sure everybody is on the same page. Now, the sheriff people are giving a hard time too. And at first you're like, why is this guy doing all of these media interviews? And it turns out sheriffs are elected. So this guy's a politician. That's why he's doing so much media. And there's a little frustration, because at one point he's like, okay, well, there was forced entry, but there's not forced entry, and then we're not going to say. And then he's like, well, you know, the son-in-law dropped her off. Now is just the family. So it's very confusing. And the fact that he didn't post a patrol car at the residence for days when reporters were going up to the house and contaminating the scene and videotaping the blood splatter, it just seemed like a very amateur move. I hope everything
very horrible
is locked
horrible
down and
work
we're getting
by
a
the
lot
sheriff.
closer because there's another deadline on Monday.
And Emily, Paul Morrow said something today that in his mind, if this is a kidnapping and it's a ransom situation and you have somebody that has medical needs, that you're talking about more than one person being involved. So perhaps that is a way to find a way in.
Did they take her medicine?
Yes, and oftentimes communications between co-conspirators
Yeah,
are
so
sort of
many
a
damn
vulnerability
questions and no
because
answers.
ultimately, at some point, usually they use some type of digital communication. And I was thinking about everything about this case is obviously so shocking and so heartbreaking. It's difficult even for me, at least, to have even watched that video of the family, just the concept of an 84-year-old mother plucked from her home. And I was trying to think about, what case is similar to that historically. And I think about Polly Klaas, who was 12 years old, but she too was plucked from her bedroom. And the concept that is
I wouldn't live
safest place.
in the desert
We all
like
think of
that
your home
with
and
no
especially
lighting,
your
proper
bedroom as
lighting.
truly the
Anyone could
safest,
pop up and do something
haven
to you,
that anyone
especially
could
in
ever have. And
Arizona.
the thought of her being alone, and if
You know how
this
many
was the case,
illegals
being
are in
plucked from
Arizona?
it just shocks the
Come on,
conscience.
man.
But in the Polly Klaas case, Eddie Fryer was the lead FBI agent who did a masterful job of sort of
Maybe a
fielding
cartel
what
hit.
became,
Maybe this
frankly,
was a
millions of
cartel
tips
thing.
involved. And I thought about with that ransom note, the Chowchilla bus kidnapping situation, where that ransom note never even got to police because there was such a deluge of communication. And the difficulty here is, I think, in part, fielding the amount of information, and you're assessing each for credibility and also for relevance as you parse through. And rightly so, they've encouraged everyone who even thinks they have something irrelevant or small to submit it. And then I think about now, at what point is this a hostage negotiation? At what point, if all of this is true, does the communication between those perps and law enforcement come to light? And I think about Kyle Vowinkle, also FBI hostage negotiator, who managed a 7-year-old boy in Alabama who was taken hostage for days. And guys, they're being horrific to who they have, and also the need to get that person with medical liability here back into safety, and that it trumps at a certain point you having the ball in the court of the perp. And final thought, as we talk about how the sheriff fields PR, and again, hearkening back to Eddie Fryer and the good job he did, Dianne Feinstein ruined the Night Stalker investigation when she went to the media and talked about the shoe tread and size Night Stalker before law enforcement gave shows. He threw them, or shoes, he threw them off the Golden Gate Bridge. And therefore, there were people that were brutally raped and murdered after that presser because they had to start from scratch to catch that guy because he was tipped off as to what they're looking for. So I'm hoping they have a lot more than they're letting on.
Yeah. And maybe
I mean, I think there was actually
I
big
think there-
takeaway from
I
that
don't know,
presser
man.
that
It's
when they
not gonna
said
be
no
good
one
news.
is ruled out because they
I don't
could
think
have
it's gonna
ruled
be good
out
news.
one or two people, but they didn't. So I think that's kind of interesting. These are terrible. Like, we get paid to talk, but we also get paid to shut up. It's like you don't want to say stuff because there's a poor woman.
Well, you
out there
gotta
who's
know your
missing her
role.
mother, and I think you always try to begin with some hope. And so I'll bring up, Violet Ripken. Remember her? That was the mother of Cal Ripken Jr., who was kidnapped and then returned. She was gone for 24 hours. And that
Yeah,
was
but
back
this
in
lady's been
2012.
gone for how
And
many
the
days
weird
now?
thing about Violet Ripken is, like, 15 months later, she was a victim of an attempted carjacking that was totally unrelated. So, the weird things can happen. I always do this thought experience with present day mysteries. I imagine the Dateline episode 3 years from now, and I let Andrea Canning's narration unfold in my brain. And it helps you kind of like direct yourselves to the Occam's razor, outcome that it's probably somebody she knows, or somebody she knows who hired somebody. Maybe they assumed she had money. She was an easy mark. She put up a fight. Could be a vendetta. Could have been an argument about money, and the ransom itself is a red herring. Again, the cops said not to rule anyone out, but that's my take.
Okay. And Harold Ford Jr., who knows Savannah and her family very well.
This is painful. My wife and I know Savannah and her husband and they're great friends. Her kids and my kids are great friends. We're obviously heartbroken by the abduction, as everyone around the table is. I watched Savannah yesterday in that taped statement, and knowing her, I know the pain, and I can only the sense of closeness that she shared is genuine. I know her mom. I'm grateful the President Trump called law enforcement to be helpful. I'm a person of deep faith, and I continue just to pray for her health, Ms. Guthrie's health, and her safe return. And
hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
That
click
is
here to
crazy.
subscribe to Fox
I
News
don't think
YouTube page
gonna
and catch
come
our
out of
hottest
this
interviews
live.
and most compelling analysis.
For some reason, I don't know, man. If she comes out alive, that'd be great. That'd be great. But something's just keeps telling me that she's not in good shape right now. And because you gotta understand, your heart works a certain way, right? But when your heart is working with fear behind it, it could cause anything to really go wrong within her system. Remember, she has a fucking pacemaker. Okay? So with all this adrenaline and blood rushing and her fear and them doing stuff to her, it could cause her to and they probably took her out, man. That's just really fucked up. And the thing is that why would you live in those? I don't know. Me for one would not live out in the boonies, especially in Arizona. Hell no. You couldn't pay me to live out in the boonies in Arizona. It's just no, there's no way in hell. No way in hell. Let me set up a couple of videos here. It looks like it's going to be a 3-hour show. I want it to be 2. It's okay. It's be 3. But I hope everyone's having a good evening tonight. Niagara Falls is partially freezing. I definitely want to see that tonight on tonight's show. You know, that's going to make me want to go to fucking Niagara Falls. That's crazy, right? And that's actually going to push me. And it gets really cold over there. It's really, 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 really cold. I could go out that way, but man, I don't know. It would be beautiful, the pictures. I got my passport. I could go over there if I want. Cross over and do a show from over there. Thinking. Oh no, what Rick is doing. He's thinking. Oh man. A short little road trip, for a day or two and come back. Gotta think about it. Think about it. It can happen. All right, guys. I think I'm okay. I am done setting this up. Okay. Here we go. So let's keep it moving with the news.
Continues for Nancy Guthrie. So much has changed since the last time we spoke with TMZ, breaking down this investigation. Last night we saw the video put out by Savannah Guthrie and her siblings making that desperate plea for whoever took Nancy, for them to bring her back and bring her back safely. And then we got the update today from Pima County. So a lot going on right here on Live Now from Fox. Let's go now out to TMZ's Branson Quirky. Continues to follow this fascinating case. Joins us here with the latest.
Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
Yeah, we're
I'm
doing
good.
well here. And Branson, so a big takeaway, it seemed like today there was several different factors in this Pima County update. One of them being somebody was definitely trying to take advantage of this whole situation and say that they wanted the Bitcoin ransom.
Right, exactly. The Pima County Sheriff held a press conference earlier today, and we got some more details concerning that alleged ransom letter that we have been circulating. Now, there's also a timeline as well that they gave. And in terms of that person that you just mentioned, there was a bogus ransom letter that authorities revealed had sent out one as well, trying to make money off of this to take advantage of the situation. And we have learned, authorities tell TMZ that that person has since been arrested. And this is one of those things that everyone is worried about. If there are people out there that see this and don't have good hearts and good minds, they want to take advantage
Evil,
of a
man.
really
I'm telling you, there's a lot of evil
situation
people.
like
We
this.
live in hell.
Again, this person has been arrested. But the
We live in
timeline
hell.
that they revealed
We're
today
all
in
waiting
this
for
press
Jesus to come
conference,
back, right? But
is
we're
really
living in
interesting
hell
as well,
meanwhile.
because they start at 5:32 p.m. on Saturday, just a few hours before midnight, saying that Nancy had traveled to the family home nearby to play games, to play and drink, hang out with everybody, have a night together. And then upon leaving, that is when she came home. The timeline continues, 9:48 p.m. The family drops her off. And then we see the garage close at 9:50 p.m. And then at 1:47 a.m. is when that doorbell camera that was on her door had disconnected. And there is no video because there is supposedly no subscription to that kept the video. And then from then on, her pacemaker disconnected, and then the morning comes.
What do you mean
it's
there's no
reported that she is
subscription?
missing.
I mean, there's so many just tragic levels here to this case. And
Well, she's not going to have subscription to her ring.
Takeaway too from this Pima County update was when the FBI talking about this ransom letter that not only you guys got at TMZ, but other media outlets talking about this new information that we learned that there was
This makes zero
a
sense.
cutoff time today at 5 p.m. was one of those times.
Yes, exactly. So the first deadline today, 5:00 p.m. And then the second deadline, and we're being told that this is a more serious deadline, is Monday, this Monday, February 9th. So that is very concerning that these are being taken seriously. What it looks like here is that this ransom note is absolutely being taken seriously. And also the sheriff did share that this will be the last correspondent from whoever sent this ransom letter. We know that Savannah and her siblings made this video, put it out there for the public, a 4-minute plea about their mother, saying that she's such a kind soul, but we do need proof of life here. We need proof of life because in this day and age of AI and pictures and videos being generated, it's very hard to know what is real and what is not.
And in Branson, for Monday's deadline, what was some of the thinking? You said that it was a much more serious tone. Was it something to the effect maybe that something could happen to Nancy?
That's the detail that we just do not know right now. The Pima County Sheriff did not share too much about that. They only shared very small details. A detail I will say that they also went into a little bit more was, we said it before, this ransom note, this alleged ransom note had items listed on it to then prove that this person was responsible for this and that they were the exact person. And those items were an Apple Watch and I don't believe I have, an Apple Watch and a floodlight was listed on here, but they have not divulged any other information because they feel it could harm the case in the search.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll definitely keep an eye on all of this and know that you guys will as well. Branson, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. Big takeaways today, and we'll wait for more updates.
Thank you, Mike.
Take care. All right, everyone. We'll take another 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. More to come in just moments on Live Now.
All right, he's going to take their break. I'm going to keep moving forward because we got more to watch, different stuff to watch. So if anything breaks, I'll break through the show and show what happens. But it doesn't look good for that lady for some reason. I'm just It's not good. But let's keep it moving and let's watch some liberal hive mind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, you can't say they weren't warned. All those years ago, we had that legendary warning from Ricky Gervais. He tried to tell these celebrities that nobody freaking cares.
You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off, okay?
Tried to warn them basically to shut up and dribble. Nobody freaking cares about your stupid, incoherent opinions, as if these Hollywood celebrities living in bubbles have any idea what's going on in the real world. No, for the most part, these celebrities are totally ignorant, and even the ones who are somewhat intelligent and have a decent understanding of politics, well, a lot of the times they can't come to the proper conclusions because they're so out of touch with the experience of an average American. Not to mention the clear cultural and career incentives for thinking a certain way or pushing a certain agenda. But of course, with everything going on right now, with such a demand to push this ridiculous fascism propaganda in the face of these ICE protests, the celebrity class they couldn't do it. They couldn't resist the temptation to make absolute fools of themselves. And now it appears it is backfiring so incredibly hard, with Billie Eilish being the latest victim of her own incredible stupidity. The fallout has now been taken to another level. Let me show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks.
Lord.
So first off, this is what started the
Billie
controversy.
Eilish did it
Billie
to
Eilish
herself.
doing what your typical vapid woke celebrity does.
No one is illegal on stolen land. Yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter. And sorry.
Pretty much as incoherent as you might expect. Again, kind of feeding into what Ricky Gervais was saying. I mean, if you're going to make a political statement, at least be able to make a coherent point. But no, instead, she just simply regurgitates the dumbest left-wing talking point. My stolen land. Oh, my stolen land. We should have sent this guy to the freaking Grammys.
Stolen people, stolen land. Stolen people, stolen land. Stolen people, stolen land. Woo, woo, woo.
With stolen people, stolen land. But a totally incoherent, vapid statement, then ending with F ice. Oh, so edgy, so cool. What a special little freaking snowflake. But this time, it really didn't go over well. Because, of course, there's an inherent hypocrisy here, as Billie Eilish is one of those elite, posh Hollywood celebrities living in LA in a massive freaking mansion that, of course, is built on indigenous land. And now, following the statement, the Tongva tribe has actually responded. We got this piece from the New York Post. Native American tribe that owns land under Billie Eilish's LA mansion has message for virtue signaling singer. Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. We do value the instance when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country. It is our hope that in future discussions, the tribe can explicitly be referenced to ensure the public understands that the greater Los Angeles basin remains Gabrielino Tongva territory. Now, first of all, no, it doesn't. It belongs to the good old US of A. I mean, if we're speaking about the history of the country, I think that's pretty damn clear. Although someone ought to explain that to Mexico that's still seething about the land that they lost.
Yeah, because they lost. California used to be Mexico.
Mapa de México en 1830. Este es lo que era Estados Unidos en 1830. Y esto era parte de
Nevada,
México. Con esta
Utah,
geografía, ¿cómo puede hablar
Mexico,
de liberar Los Ángeles y California?
That was all part of Mexico.
¿Liberarlos de quién?
And
Los
that's
mexicanos y
stolen land,
mexicanas
right?
que están asentados en ese lugar, están asentados en lo que ha sido su patria.
I love how everybody gets to keep their conquered territory except for evil America. But of course, that goes with being the big dog in town, right?
So
Everybody's
what?
got a bone to pick. But yeah, back to Billie Eilish. She's got a resource guzzling mega mansion on top of stolen tribal land. Who the hell is she to speak? What a complete freaking hypocrite. And that's not the only point of backlash. No, now we've got GB News showing up and doing an entire segment in front of her home.
Well, Billy reckons there's no such thing as an illegal human because we're all on stolen land. So we're here in Billy's quite posh neighborhood in Los Angeles. Let's go and see if she practiced what she preaches. Here we go. Oh, nice little place. Bins are out. It's bin collection day. First of all, isn't that ironic? Massive gates keeping people out. I thought Billy didn't believe in borders. According to
in borders.
the driveway, Billy does believe in borders. She believes in massive gates keeping people out. A couple of cameras up there as well. The lights are on, so somebody must be home. Let us in, please, Billy. We are here because this is stolen land, Billy, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion.
Oh, it's just so good. And interestingly enough, what was spotted around her home is a giant security perimeter. I guess what you could also describe synonymously as a border. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Here we have Billie Eilish condemning the idea of national borders, but here she is living in her home that's completely surrounded by a security border. Here she is lecturing us about stolen land when she's living on stolen land. Well, if you're such a virtuous little snowflake, maybe give it all up. Maybe practice what you preach. Maybe allow a couple Venezuelan gang members to shack up in your multiple guest bedrooms. It's not like you've got a family. It's not like you've got children. You've got plenty of space in there. You could probably house at least, I'd say, 20, 25 of them. Why not take some homeless people in? No, of course not, because it's all about image and PR. It's not real. It's not serious. And most importantly, it's all about attention. Me. Look at me. I'm Billie Eilish. I'm such a special little snowflake. I'm such a better person than you. Of course, these people know exactly what they're doing. They know they're 12-year-old freaking fans, at least those whose parents aren't smart enough to teach them basic common sense. They know they're going to be eating this stuff up. And of course, the adult children who never grew up. Oh, you slay queen. Oh, Billie Eilish. Oh, she got them. She got what exactly? A massive dose of backlash and nothing else? As if this changes anything? As if this is going to move the needle? Though, of course not. Nobody gives a crap about what these celebrities have to say. If anything, honestly, I feel like these celebrity endorsements are counterintuitive. They probably hurt the left more than they help. Nobody cares what these celebrities have to say. That's why every time Donald Trump wins, and it's supposedly the fall of America, the end of America as we know it, and you've got these celebrities shaving their heads, going on hunger strikes, or leaving the country. I am moving abroad. I've had enough of this American fascism, so I'm going to move to the EU where they have draconian speech laws. The entire country is being invaded by Muslim third worlders. Yeah, that's the utopia that I want to live in. Well, every single time, it doesn't even make a splash. Hardly a ripple in the water. With the latest example being Ellen DeGeneres, who packed her bags and left after Donald Trump was elected the second time. Well, I guess she was expecting that to make an impact, but nope. No, not even close. And now 12 months later, it appears she just bought a $27 million mansion in California, and she's quietly coming back. She fled for the UK, fleeing for her life because America was no longer safe under the reign of Donald Trump. And now I guess she's returned back to fascism. Yeah, how does that work? Oh, poor Ellen in her new $30 million mansion. How's she gonna survive? Yeah, obviously. The whole thing was a freaking ploy for attention, like it always is. These people are clowns. Nobody cares, and of course the effort is futile. The polls are not gonna shift because a bunch of loser celebrities wore their little ice out pins. Nobody cares. The mass deportations continue, and you people have once again made utter fools of yourselves. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right to our next one because we'll have a back-to-back. So let's watch.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, there you go. All that tough talk, all that freaking blah, blah. How else can you describe it? Coming from Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, even as recent as just yesterday, Tim Walz was telling us he will not cooperate and the demand stands. ICE better get the hell out of Minnesota.
This force must leave Minnesota, and this all-out assault on Minnesota across all of state government and all across life must stop.
Ooh, shiver me timbers. So scary. Yeah, you can sense the sarcasm. This isn't intimidating anyone, and also it's not necessarily convincing anyone either. Now, as we covered previously, based on polling data out of Minneapolis too, the people do not want this obstructionist bullshit And well, I guess finally, at least based on their actions, definitely not from their words, it appears the Democrat officials in Minnesota are finally waving the white flag. They've surrendered, they've given up, as Tom Homan is now announcing that after years of non-cooperation with ICE, they're finally allowing these agents to show up at the prisons, show up at their jails, and pick up these individuals. Oh wow, so you mean to tell me it was this simple all along? An insurrection, violent frickin' riots on the streets was never necessary to begin with? It was all a ridiculous show? Yeah, really no surprise there. Let's take a look at what happened, as it appears the clowns have finally given up. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so Tom Homan makes this announcement, but of course, keep in mind that these frickin' little Democrat weasels, they always say one thing, but they usually have a trick up their sleeve, so we'll see if they actually keep up with it, or I guess we'll see if it lasts. I'm expecting quite the significant far-left backlash, most likely people showing up at Jacob Fry and Tim Walz's office once again to protest them. But anyways, just take a look.
Attorney General Mayor Fry and law enforcement officials about increasing coordination in a lawful way between the county jails and ICE to avoid public safety threats being released back in the community. While we had our differences, one thing was clear: we all committed to public safety for all who live in the Twin Cities. We have made significant progress under the direction of President Trump, working with state and local officials here in Minnesota, and I expect that to increase in the coming weeks. We continue to have discussions. I'll have discussions this afternoon. We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation. And I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. This frees up more officers to arrest or remove criminal aliens. More officers taking custody of criminal aliens directly from the jails means less officers on the street doing criminal operations. This is smart law enforcement, not less law enforcement. It's safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien. This coordination also makes it far more safe for the Twin Cities.
You know, again, this is building on what I was saying yesterday. They caused all this damage to federal property, 2 leftist rioters are dead, a bunch of wasted resources having to deal with these crowds and all the damage they're causing to public spaces. Then, of course, there's the economic impact that Jacob Fry was mentioning just the other day. All of this damage for frickin' nothing, for nothing, to basically capitulate in the end. And again, we always say that with an asterisk, but this time, honestly, I'm convinced that it might actually be the case. And the reason I say that is because of what I mentioned in the intro, that one little pesky poll. Maybe I could get the number, but I remember it was double digits in support for cooperating with ICE officials to stop the chaos. Yeah, here I found it. 50% of respondents wanted to help ICE, and this is in Minneapolis, or Minnesota rather, and only 36% said don't help. So a considerable majority clearly do not agree with the Democrats' stance in the state. And so now I think Democrats are looking at that and they're going, oh, wait a second, this might actually be devastating for us. If we continue down this road, it might end up backfiring. It's exactly like I always say, Democrats will never do the right thing if it's not politically expedient. If they could get away with doing the wrong thing, they will do it to the absolute bitter end until it majorly backfires. And only once the focus groups start to shift, only once it appears that it's a futile effort to continue walking down that lawless path, will they finally backtrack. And that seems to be what's happening here. And watch, instantaneously, the leftist theory on the cause behind the chaos will instantly be disproven. I mean, they have been going on and on across media telling us, trying to convince the American people, or frankly, trying to gaslight the American people, as if the reason behind the chaos is because of ICE's assault on Minneapolis. But you've got ICE operations happening across the country. Most states, most cities, most counties are cooperating. There's only a few that are not cooperating. And in Minnesota, you could probably argue, not only are they not cooperating, but they basically waged war on ICE. And so now that they've decided to take another path, I could pretty much guarantee you the chaos will quell overnight. I mean, sure, we're probably going to see, like, little Antifa demonstrations, but less so, because the signal chats aren't really going to have much work to do. You don't really need too much of an ICE presence on the ground when local officials are actually cooperating. You don't need to engage in these high-risk operations if you could simply show up at the jail and pick up your perp. It's that simple. The solution was clear all along. Jacob Fry and Tim Walz needed to get their frickin' heads out of their asses. nothing else really needs to be said. They've been the source of chaos since day one, and boy, did it get completely out of control. I mean, just recently, you had these anti-ICE agitators taking over entire freaking intersections, entire parts of the city, creating roadblocks, checkpoints. Like I've been saying, they're detaining vehicles. Well, a nice little update. Tom Homan's finally got them clearing up those disaster zones, let's call it. You know, again, I got the same question that I'm asking myself. How did this not instantly backfire? How can anybody look at what was happening in Minnesota, first of all, and blame the Trump administration? And secondly, how can anybody find this behavior acceptable to allow this straight up lawlessness, surrendering the city to a mob? It's totally unacceptable and also totally futile. As Tom Homan said, the roadblocks are being set up, but you won't stop ICE. What you're doing is a futile effort. It's chaos for the sake of chaos, or frankly, chaos for the sake of attempting to build this narrative. It's disgusting. There is no coherent
that wasted a lot of money.
no coherent demand on the left
wasted
side.
public
No,
money.
everything from a state level, a city level, all the way to a national level, it has been utterly incoherent. And here's the perfect example, speaking of on a national level. What the hell are these people even doing?
What do you think should replace ICE? If you abolish ICE, what should be in place? Because many Americans did vote for President Trump in part because they felt that the influx of immigrants that are undocumented was too many.
I mean, I think we can still look, strategize and look at what is the replacement. But ICE, many people do not know ICE is still relatively a new agency, post 9/11. They haven't been around for decades after decades, in the government. And so I think there are other ways to look at, how do we handle immigration? We need to look at, reforming immigration altogether, and ICE is a part of that.
There's no rational policy alternative. It's just defund the DHS because Trump is president. If Joe Biden was president, it'd be, refund the DHS. These people are idiotic, and they'll clearly say and do anything. They'll enable any kind of chaos as long as they believe it's benefiting them. The lack of common sense is astounding. And again, I just question, why is there no lack of support? Nobody should support these people. They are lunatics. They're insane. And the proof is on the streets. They sent two leftist loons to die. Those two people would likely be alive today if Tim Walz and Jacob Fry did their job. Those people would likely be alive today if the left wasn't constantly pushing the most insane rage-fueled rhetoric 24/7. If they just came back to planet Earth, these issues would not exist. These people have freaking blood on their hands, and I don't know why anybody supports it anymore. Well, as we know, there's always going to be a good 40% of the nation that supports the left no matter what. And of course, politics is slow moving. It takes time for people to see through the hysteria, to see through the fake news and finally come to the proper conclusion. And I think that's slowly happening. Common sense is winning the day. And I think Democrats have finally realized that. I mean, not only is the nation against them very clearly based on all polling information, but now even Minnesota residents appear to have had enough. And that's probably what's got Democrats now on the back foot. Tom Homan comes in, cleans up the situation in record time, I'd argue. What an absolute legend. Maybe that's why Barack Obama gave him that medal. Of course, something the left really doesn't want you to know about. But Tom Homan comes in, gets the job done. And that, my friends, is why you never back down when you're clearly on the righteous side. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thank you for that, Liberal Hive Mind. That was a really good upload. We're going to go pretty quick with the next few videos. We're going to try to do this under 2 hours. That's a joke, right? It's like, yeah, it's a joke. It's a good one, but let's see if we could do it. I highly doubt it. Rick, he has no confidence. Yeah, I always go over. Here we go. Let's watch. Let's put the volume on. How about that?
Connecticut, state lawmakers voted today to extend an emergency fund to make up for federal cuts to Medicaid, food assistance, and your health insurance. Though something else also happened that's causing quite a stir at the Capitol. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, is joining us live now to explain that part of the story. Susan?
Kara, this year's legislative session has just begun, and one state representative has already been given a warning. It all has to do with what she chose to wear during yesterday's State of the State address when the governor addressed lawmakers. Republican Representative Cara Pavlock-D'Amato wore this jacket during yesterday's opening day with the words "ICE in" on the back. Political signs of any kind are not allowed inside the chamber at the state capitol. Today, the House Speaker gave Pavlock-D'Amato a warning and is reminding lawmakers of the rules. Governor Lamont got a loud reaction when he talked about ICE in Wednesday's State of the State speech, saying, "ICE, go home." Pavlock-D'Amato says she doesn't have any regrets.
You can do whatever you want outside the chamber. Can you go on your Facebooks and your
No,
X's?
you guys bring that
That's
shit
what-
up
Twitter
all the
now,
time
right?
in your
I don't
bullshit.
care.
Now you don't
But
like it when
can't
it's thrown in your
wear-
face?
You can't have posters or placards or
Damn
displays
Democrats are
on
fucking
clothing
hypocrites, yo.
or in the chamber. We're trying to keep
Big-time
some decorum.
hypocrites.
I respect the chamber. I also respect the speaker, but I think some of the things that were
Oh,
said
I
yesterday
love her.
were out of line. I think
out of Bristol?
some of the governor's speech too. I mean, I'm supporting ICE. I'm supporting those officers who support us.
Oh man, I should call
House
her.
Speaker
too
Matt Ritter
and
told
thank
us
her.
that Pavlock-D'Amato was given a one-time warning in this case. But in some extreme cases, in fact, we were told that lawmakers can be removed from their position, but that is not
Oh,
the
come
situation
on, you
with
bullshit.
Pavlock-D'Amato. When we
You
spoke
ain't
to
gonna do that.
Pavlock-D'Amato today, she also told us
Shut up.
that this morning she sent, or she was given a text,
Right, I hate
received a
living in
text on her
Democratic
phone,
state.
which was a
Even
death
the
threat.
media is
She tells us she
wicked.
is going to report that to the Capitol Police. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, Channel 3, live at the state capitol.
Shut up. Fucking Connecticut is just full of Democrats and full of shit. And I'm glad she wore that jacket ICE in. That is so freaking awesome. And Bristol, wow, congratulations, man. You guys got a good representative. You're in the right hands.
Our 8 News Now investigators breaking yet more news about that biolab that was raided over the weekend. Documents we obtained reveal several people got sick from it. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes breaking that story. And David, what are you learning about it tonight?
Well, these new documents say several people became sick from that suspected lab inside a house that police and the FBI are labeling as an Airbnb or short-term rental. Metro showing this video of the inside of that lab, inside that Northeast Valley's home garage. We've learned a person tipped off the FBI in early January that garage was locked and that there were fridges running inside. A person telling those investigators that it smelled like a hospital with a, quote, foul, stale, stagnant air smell. Now, documents say several days after entering that garage, 2 people came and several other people had gotten sick there before. Also learning items from this lab were moved from a different location here in the Valley, possibly from several years ago when that location failed to get a state license. Now, as we first reported over the weekend, this lab is connected to a lab the feds actually raided 3 years ago in 2023.
What?
That location there in Reedley, California, outside Fresno. Inside, officials found similar equipment and pathogens like HIV and malaria. Court documents in that case mention Las Vegas and possible warehouses here. And today, I asked the city manager for that community about her reaction to this latest lab. What was your reaction when you saw over the weekend that all these same people were involved in yet another potential biolab, but this time in Las Vegas?
I will say that I was not surprised. I mean, I have sympathy for Vegas, and I feel very bad for that community that they had to endure what they endured over the weekend. But we were not surprised when we heard about it way back in 2023 when this case hit. Through simple search docs, Google, etc., we found multiple connections to Las Vegas.
Wow.
And a congressional investigation that was
Tyson's
done on our
neighborhood.
case, which is public, showed some ties to warehouses in Vegas.
So now the question is why this lab existed
that's
if it may have
crazy.
been on the radar or someone's radar 3 years ago. The 8 News Now investigators first to report how Metro arrested this man, 55-year-old Ori Solomon,
man?
the property manager
He's
of
like
the
a
home.
female.
Learning today he runs multiple
You sure
short-term
it's not a
rentals.
female?
Prosecutors say he's here on a non-immigrant visa. He can't own any guns, but documents say during that raid on Saturday, officers seized rifles and handguns from him. They say he's been in contact with the man in federal custody connected to the raid in California and whose business owns this Northeast Valley home. Solomon appeared in federal court this afternoon. He's going to remain in custody for at least a couple more days until his next hearing. And in that hearing, we could hear more charges filed against him as Metro and the FBI are awaiting those results, find out exactly what they seized from that house. No indication right now there is any further threat. We, of course, also reached out to Airbnb about all this, and I've not heard back. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
Also to add here, that city manager and others in the Fresno area are calling on Congress to address gaps in federal law in the regulation of highly infectious agents and laboratories.
That's crazy. Let's keep it moving. That's wild. Oh, so the volume.
First at 6 with that breaking news
Oh,
tonight
shit.
from Mansfield. Crews have been on the scene of a train derailment.
Oh my God! Look, it showed a train derailment.
10 train cars in all, with some carrying propane.
Oh, the
And thanks for
grounds
joining
are
us on News
fucked.
Here at 6. I'm Mark Zinni. We've been following this story since the moment it happened earlier this
no.
morning. The derailment took place near Route 32 on Stafford Road.
Damn, that area's gonna be
Routes
contaminated.
275 and 44 were also closed. We have team coverage for you right now. Your reporters Dylan Fearon and Sam Smink are standing by. But we want to start with Luke Hydash live with the very latest tonight. Luke.
Well, Mark, crews right now are kind of setting up shop a little closer down towards the tracks here. It's a little bit of a distance away from
Damn,
Route
that's
32
messed
where
up
we
for
are
the
here. They brought in
environment.
the temporary lights. We've seen all sorts of vehicles getting down there as these
Ugh.
crews begin to assess the next steps and get plans here to get these carts upright. We know 14 train cars
hope
were
they're not
involved
leaking.
here in all, and a handful of them actually went down into the Willimantic River itself on the other side of the tracks there. Now, first
my God, it
responders
went
from
into the
all
river.
across Connecticut have spent the day here in Mansfield and will spend the night as well, keeping a watchful eye on things. No injuries in all of this. A conductor and engineer both on board when this happened shortly after 9 o'clock this morning. No word yet on what caused this to begin with. Some of the train cars were carrying propane. Luckily, no leaks in those, but first
Oh.
responders are not taking any chances.
No
contained,
leaks.
but we're still close. It's
They
very
don't
close
know
to the
what's
waterway, so
underneath.
we're
How you
just trying
gonna
to be very
check for no
cautious.
leaks?
With the crews, we have to be careful to make sure they don't slip and fall and end up in the water as well. So.
And the focus right now really on the cleanup and getting these things uprighted. They've determined for the most part that things are safe here in this area along Route 32, where there's a pretty extensive road
Problem
closure
is, we
between
have
routes
fucking
44 and
equipment
275
to
down in the
lift
Eagleville
this
area.
shit
We
out.
know that crews throughout the night tonight will be bringing in very heavy machinery
Yeah.
and cranes to start work on getting these things uprighted in what's expected to be a multi-day operation.
That is not gonna
Reporter
be
live in
easy.
Mansfield, Luke Hydash, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, a very active scene there.
Oh, they're not even talking about the environment. That river. Oh Lord. Keep it moving.
Is demanding justice tonight after her daughter is hit at her daycare center.
Oh my
with a shoe.
God.
The incident caught on surveillance camera. It happened at the development center in Lenox.
Tonight,
Oh my
the senator's
God.
apologizing, but the mother of the 5-year-old girl with special needs says an apology isn't enough. Carlos Saucedo
Oh,
live
no.
in Lennox, where
I
he
need to
spoke
hit
to
her
the
with the
child's
damn
mother
shoe
and the center's
myself.
director. Carlos.
Oh my
Mark
God.
Fisher, the director of the daycare, tells me that 3 staff members have since been terminated after one of them is seen throwing a shoe at a child. Tonight, the child's mother says she wants the teacher arrested for assault and child abuse. And the incident was caught on camera.
I agree.
The video is disturbing.
Oh my God, look at this.
Beautiful. A 5-year-old special needs girl is heard crying after being hit with a shoe thrown
Look.
across a classroom by a caregiver.
And the lady's
In
just
the
standing there.
background,
Look at
at
her.
least
Put her
one
hand in
staff
her
member
mouth.
is seen laughing. The incident happened
Laughing.
January 16th at Destiny Development Center in Lenox.
I've been knowing these people for 3 years. I really thought my baby was safe with you.
The child's mom, Michelle Jones, and aunt were disgusted after seeing the footage just this week, more than 2 weeks after the incident.
How do
Oh
you
my
have
God.
a business and you don't review the
Until the
footage?
parent says something.
Why do we have to wait for my niece to come and tell us, hey, my teacher hit me in the ear with a shoe?
Beautiful
Oh
had
my
told her mom
God.
about the abuse. the
And look, she's
evening it
laughing.
happened.
And look at the other
Her
teacher
mother
didn't do
confronted
nothing.
the director of the state
Oh,
licensed
those are the
child care
3 that got
facility
fired.
shortly after, but says they were slow to respond.
The following day, she said that she went to the girl and she said, give me your story because I'm going to review the cameras. The girl's story was she was throwing shoes in another room that weren't supposed to be there, and Beautiful accidentally got hit in the ear with a shoe.
We went straight to the daycare to get answers. Are you the director, ma'am?
My school, what we stand for, it's not child abuse. We don't hire child abusers.
The center's director, Danielle Williams, says after gathering the initial complaint from the parent, she went ahead and terminated Miss Emily, the teacher who threw the shoe at Beautiful. She suspended the other 2 adults in the room after they failed to report the issue. But after reviewing the footage, they have since been fired as well.
Okay, they've been
says all
fired.
the
teachers go through a thorough background check.
Caregiver background check, FBI index, everything, and then the training that goes along with it. I wouldn't wish this on anybody's child, and we don't stand for it. We don't agree with it.
But Beautiful's mom says an apology is not enough and is concerned this may not have been an isolated incident.
Like anybody else who laughs at child abuse, you need to be in jail. That's what I want.
I agree. I feel her pain.
Now, the family of Beautiful, they're planning on holding a rally outside the daycare this Friday. Now, the LA County Sheriff's Department has opened up their own investigation as well. We're live in Lenox.
Those ladies
Carlos
need to be
Salcedo,
arrested for child
KTLA 5
abuse.
News.
Thank you, Carlos.
And failure to report child abuse. That's sad. Let's keep it moving.
All right, everyone. We do want to go back out to the breaking news that we have been following for you of this massive car crash in Los Angeles.
What?
Deadly right now. Let's listen in.
Arrived on scene, we were met by multiple patients. It was a rather active incident, as you can imagine. The first of which was northbound of here. Vehicle had struck a bicyclist, and then as you can see, it's entered inside of that branch market and bakery.
Oh my God.
Patrons that were inside seating. Yeah, they all come 5 minutes after this. As of now, we have a total of 9 patients. As you can imagine, this is a dynamic incident. Those numbers may change as the incident grows and de-escalates.
How many dead?
Various
I can't even see it. Hold on.
Your firefighters arrived very quickly. They set up for immediate
Damn, I can't see it.
triage, treatment, and transportation of these patients. You can see the
Hold
colored
on, let me make
tarps
it big.
behind us, red, yellow, and green.
2
for
dead.
immediate delayed and minor
At least
patients, so
2
we can
dead.
organize this as quick as possible and wrap our hands around it and give the best medical
At least
aid
2
as
people
needed.
dead
Also,
from this
we're concerned
accident. A
about
car
structural
crashed into a bakery.
stability of that building, so we've called in our heavy rescue and urban search and rescue confined space specialists
Oh
to
my God.
assess the structure along with building and safety that is there.
Wow.
Fortunately, that building is not very compromised. It's predominantly a glass front door, and we're going to have it be yellow tagged, not red tagged at this point. More importantly, we had, again, a total of 9 patients here. And tragically, 3 of those individuals were beyond any medical help. Despite our best intentions and our best efforts, they were determined dead on scene.
Oh, so
We had
3 are
2
dead,
other
not 2.
patients
They need to change that
were
too.
serious to
You see, now they did.
that were quickly
That was quick.
transported. An additional 2 patients that will categorize them as having minor injuries.
3
And the last
dead.
2 patients that declined any medical transport. So again, at this point, there's a total of 9 patients. We've called in for waves of additional ambulances and resources, but at this point, this is becoming more of a static incident. And I do want to state that in working very closely with our law enforcement partners and LAPD, that this does not seem to be of any ill intent, that it does not seem to be an intentional act, but rather it's being
Oh my
investigated
God.
so far as an accidental traffic collision, and more information will come out as that's available.
How did it exactly happen?
So what happened to the driver?
This car allegedly hit a lady in a bicycle, and that he allegedly speed up, and this is what they did. Can you tell us about that?
So I would say it's accurate. The preliminary information did state that a bicyclist was struck first, just northbound of here. However, your aspect of it being intentional does not seem to be accurate. Again, this appears to be most likely accidental in nature. It was an elderly female driving of a single vehicle that was a silver-colored sedan that is still inside of that building,
Oh
and
my
the
God.
surrounding circumstances will remain under active investigation.
Oh, it's a senior. She shouldn't even been fucking driving, probably.
driver was trying to swerve out of the way of the
hitting the bicyclist and ended up losing control of the vehicle and smacking into the market?
So the question is if the elderly driver was trying to swerve out of the way of the bicyclist before crashing. We don't know what had happened. All we know is that
There should
elderly
be cameras
driver
in that area,
single
so
vehicle did strike a
I'm sure they're
bicyclist.
gonna
The surrounding
find
circumstances
footage.
of what led up to that happening, we wouldn't want to
It's still part of
speculate.
the investigation.
But as there's additional patients along the way, I don't know if more were struck or if the rest of those were all from inside of that building. But what we do know, again, is a total of 9 patients, 3 that tragically were deceased, 2 that are serious, at least serious condition, 2 in moderate condition, and 2 that declined transport. Luckily, there was no fire. The structural stability of that building remains intact at this time.
Anybody under the car when you got there?
The question is anybody under the car? Tragically, that's yes. We understood that people were underneath the vehicle. Firefighters, again, are problem solvers. They came in, were able to remove that vehicle to make access to those patients. We called for waves of additional firefighter paramedics who render immediate medical aid. And again, those 3 were beyond any additional help that we could provide and were determined dead.
How is the driver doing? The driver, what's his condition?
The driver is being evaluated right now, has been talking to the police officers and is being compliant and will be evaluated medically.
Elderly female driver, elderly male driver?
Elderly female driver, again, a single vehicle, a silver colored sedan that's inside of that building at this time.
What is her condition?
I don't have it at this time, Leo.
Okay, and was the bicyclist killed in this horrible accident?
I don't believe so. I believe the 3 deceased were were inside or the near vicinity of this building.
I think this was
Again,
an accident.
We're
Man.
rapidly putting this information together for you. We want you to know what your
This
Los
is an
Angeles Fire
accident.
Department has
This
done. They
was-
arrived very out of a
Man,
chaotic
that sucks.
situation and to treat the patients as quick as possible and rapidly transport them to emergency for definitive care.
When you say elderly, how old are we talking?
Approximately 70. Yeah.
Did she actually struck the bicycle driver? What's the condition of the bicycle driver?
Yes, the vehicle struck the bicyclist, and the condition of that bicyclist, I don't know. We don't have every one of those 9 patients itemized as to where they were and who they're being described as. Okay, when we have more information, we'll go ahead and provide you an update. Thank you all.
What time was the crash, dude?
12:11, we were notified via 911. 11 minutes after noon.
Thank you.
Oh, that's crazy, man. I think that was a medical emergency. I think, okay, they saying she was a senior. It was a female senior. Okay. Who knows what was her health condition at the moment when all this happened? You know what I mean? So it could have been something that like she swerved to like avoid hitting someone, and I think she just lost control maybe and went into the bakery. There's a lot of cameras around there, so the investigation is going to be ongoing. I'm sure by the end of the week I'll have some footage of the car driving into the bakery. So we got to give it time because it's under investigation. Like the Arizona kidnapping, whatever happened there. Like, how do you have a Ring camera and then it's like it gets snatched off, but they don't have any video of it? I mean, it makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. Next up is let's see what we got here. Let's see what's next. Okay, next up is a video in reference to the title of the show, and it's I'm boycotting the Super Bowl, the XL Super Bowl XL, whatever you want to name it. Who gives a fuck? But I'm boycotting the Super Bowl, and this video here is going to be pretty much the reason. So let's go ahead and watch it. Oh, hold on. Let me put the volume. I don't know why YouTube does that. Like, what the YouTube? All right, here we go.
This platform is used to unite people and to be able to bring people together with their creativity, with their talents, and to be able to use this moment to do that. And I think artists in the past have done that. I think Bad Bunny understands that, and I think he'll have a great performance.
Used to unite people. Bad Bunny is a rapper who sings in a foreign language, who wears dresses on stage, who kisses men on stage, and will definitely say something negative about Donald Trump.
Crazy.
Or ICE, or both.
That's
when he
crazy.
performs at the Super Bowl halftime show on Sunday. And if he doesn't, we're there performing. So if you are looking for a pro-America halftime show alternative, turn off the Super Bowl at halftime and turn on the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show, featuring headliners like Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, and our next guest, country music superstar Lee Brice, who joins us now. Lee, it's great to have you on. And I guess my first question is, what does it tell you that we now live in a country where we need an alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show?
I'm not watching it. I don't care about the game.
Well, I don't know, that we need it, but if we want it and we want to be able to go watch something else, then we should be able to do that. I
ain't gonna watch it.
I didn't get asked to play the Super
What?
Bowl itself.
What are you watching for?
I'm so excited to be able to hang out.
I don't
with my
benefit
good
from it,
buddies,
nothing.
Brantley and Kid Rock and have a great time there.
I'll find out the score after.
Green Day is going to be doing the pregame.
But I don't care
performance,
about
and
the
to me, I
propaganda
want to play you
bullshit.
this. It just comes down to judgment from people like Roger Goodell, who run the
I'm gonna
NFL
be
with an iron
brainwashed.
fist.
Selling
Here's Green
cars,
Day
selling
and what they
bullshit
think about America.
I don't need. Have all these.
All right, so essentially F America for a band that's going to be performing at the biggest event that we put on in America.
Football is, to me, it's, I grew up, family and football
watch the
and
commercials.
God and America. And so
It was really good
what
in the
I heard
80s.
there didn't sound like
And
that, but it's kind of a
90s.
shock to me to hear that.
But when this
because
idiot took over,
it is the 250th anniversary of our
horrible.
country's birthday, and our country, the greatest country in the world, we all get to live in. No matter what's going on in it, it's still the greatest country in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
So I am very proud that this show is celebrating that.
How do you get people to change the channel? So I'm a Patriots fan. So I'm watching the game. How do you get people to change the channel? Because people are going to hate watch when it's people like Bad Bunny.
I think you let
Yeah,
people change the channel if they want to. That's the biggest thing here, It's like Charlie Kirk put down his microphone.
But I don't care
when
for
somebody
it.
else
I'm
was
not
speaking,
gonna give him a view.
so that he was listening to what they had
right
to say, whether he agreed with it or not.
to not be programmed
And
by the commercials.
That was a beautiful thing. There was a beautiful thing, and he kept God first, and he kept conversation, dialogue. But one side or the other is not anything I'm ever want to be a part of. It's hard to hear. It's hard to hear some of that stuff. But like I said, if you don't have to try to get people to change the channel. If they want to watch golf one day or watch baseball the next, it should be their decision.
Watch me.
Yeah, I agree with
Mind over
you.
your matter. Be
Jay-Z
live.
took control of the halftime
You come and
performance
watch
back in
me.
2020. It's been all
I'll be live. I'm not gonna
rappers and Eminem perform, but Eminem is very anti-Trump,
We'll
vocally
watch other news.
anti-Trump. I'm just wondering, you know so many country stars. Has a country singer been approached to perform at the Super Bowl over the last 5-6 years that you know of?
God, not that I know of. I mean,
why aren't they asking
like I
George
said,
Strait, or yourself? I mean, come on.
Well, that's what I think this is. That's what I think this is. It's like, you know what? And I honestly, next year there could be 5 halftime Super Bowl shows, and whatever everybody wants to go watch. But yeah, I agree with you. I haven't heard of Garth Brooks or George Strait or Alan Jackson or somebody showing up, a country artist doing it. It might be called pop music or the popular music, whatever that may be. But right now, country music is just as popular, and it has been for a while, as any other music in the world. But I'm not sure why they haven't asked, but that's why this show's going on.
I mean, like, where's Amarillo by Morning? You know, at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Baby
right?
blue.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I was going to let you go right there. I'm with you. All right, just a quick one. And so Roger Goodell, again, he's been in charge of the NFL for a long time. I think people think the NFL is so big, no one could ever impact it because it's this multi-billion-dollar behemoth. Is it time for somebody like Roger Goodell, who's clearly under the control of woke forces, to step aside?
I mean, you know, I can't speak to that like in much of a fashion because, you know, I'm not up there. I'm not with them. It is pretty alarming to see that and to hear that, like the clip that we saw.
Yeah.
But as far as this show goes, you know, I'm just glad to be a part of the show that I'm on. It's hard. I'm not a politician, man. I'm a musician, you know, and I just want to get up there and bring people together. I'm not trying to, my thing is not to take people apart or draw lines. I want to get on the stage and write songs and play songs and make people feel something, feel good, say what I want to say, how I want to say it, and spread love, you know? And so some of the stuff that I've heard does make me ask the same question you are.
Yeah. I think, look, I think they're calling your event the alternative. Lee, I think your event's the main event. And I think a lot of people are gonna change the channel on Sunday. I know I will. Lee Bryce, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's how you get the ultimate payback. I mean, how you get the ultimate payback against these people, right? The ultimate payback? Don't watch. Come watch me. I'll be here. Maybe I'll do some psychic readings and then blow your mind. Those are always fun. I haven't done it in a while, though. All right, let's keep it moving. What's up with these kids?
At least one person is dead after a Metrolink train slammed into a car in Glendale. Busy intersection. At least people were hurt, including 3 on board the train.
The crash happened around 9 this morning near the intersection of San Fernando Road and Broadway. KTLA's Lindsay Pena is in Glendale with the very latest.
Well, there's a train passing by after.
Yeah, Sheriff Micah. Investigators aren't releasing the
Girl,
name
you better get out of there. You're not safe.
in the crash this morning.
You are not
but
safe.
A man who came by here identifying himself as a friend of the family
timing.
says that she was 7 months pregnant and in her 30s. Meanwhile, we're getting a look at surveillance video that shows the moment that deadly crash happened.
No, this video?
Video from Sky 5 Wednesday morning showing the aftermath of a
God.
deadly
Look, the whole
collision
engine
between a
compartment's gone.
Metrolink train and a car. It happened just after 9 a.m. at the intersection of San Fernando Road and Broadway in Glendale. Police saying the driver was killed, only identifying her as an adult female. A man who didn't want to share his name or his face says he knows the victim and her husband.
She was pregnant and around 7 months.
Oh my God.
Christina Marquez was on the train at the time, the 206 from Antelope Valley to downtown LA.
The train was going pretty fast, super fast, yeah.
She describes feeling several bumps, then
news.
saw wreckage.
Sure enough, there was car pieces flying like on the side of the windows.
Surveillance video from a nearby restaurant shows the moment of impact.
Oh, no.
You can see the silver car on the train tracks, red lights flashing, and the crossing arms appear to be down near the car moments before the vehicle is hit. The arms on the other side of the street coming down after the train crosses the intersection.
Yeah.
According to Glendale police, the woman driving the car was heading northbound on West San Fernando
there's
Road,
something
trying to
wrong.
make a right turn onto Broadway.
The
A man
arm-
walking
come
nearby
down.
was hit with debris and taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Metrolink says 3 passengers out of the 150 on board the train were injured, 1 taken to the hospital, 2 others treated on scene.
I'm still shaking. I'm thinking about it. It's traumatized. Yeah, I've never been through this ever.
Oh my God.
Now, as you heard earlier, that train going by, the trains are running again in this area. Now, the Glendale Police Department tells us that they are working with Metrolink to investigate this crash and determine exactly what happened. That's the latest from Glendale. Lindsay Pena,
my
KTLA
God.
5
No.
News. I'll send it back to you guys in
Darn,
the studio.
not late.
Lindsay, thank you.
We're gonna review that. Hold on. Let's mute this here. Let's go back and review this because there's no way. We just saw the video. Okay. We're gonna go slow-mo, okay? Give me 1 second. Let me pause it here because it's gonna be like right. Yeah, it's gonna be right there. So we're gonna go slow-mo. We're gonna slow this down. I know I'm not gonna make it my 2 hours, so maybe 2.5, but not 2 hours. Okay, let's watch. All right, look at the picture. Hold on, let me make it big. Let me make it really big. There we go. Now this look at this picture right now. I don't know if the lights are on. I don't see the arms down. Do you see any arms down? Let me I have to get really close. No, I don't see no arms down. This one's up. This one's up. This is not the line. This is not a bar because this is the line here. You see, it's part of the building. That's part of the building. So it kind of seems like it has the arm down, but it doesn't. That's not the arm. You see, that's part of the building. So you got this. That's not part of. That's not no arm. So she's like behind the thing. Like, well, let's see. So she's there. She moves up. There's no bars down. There's nothing down. Nothing's down. So she's moving up a little bit. There's no bars down. She would be hitting the bars. Oh, look at the train right there. Oh my god, it sucks in slow motion. Look, the bars are not down. Now it's no, I don't see even the lights on. Now, look, the bars are coming down now. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's see the bars on the other side. I don't see no bars. Like, what are we seeing here? Oh, okay. Let me see something. Hold on. I have to see that again. Wait, let me put it more a little bit more back. That bar should have been down like 30 seconds ago, like even a minute ago. I don't see the bars on this side. And I'm trying to figure out, oh, here. You see it's coming down late, the bar? You saw the bar move here? I know it's distracting, but try not to look at the vehicle. We're going to go slow, right? I'm going to pause it. Okay, it's going to show the angle from the other side, and you see the accident already happened. The accident already happened. The car is already thrown over here. You see the car's over here? See, this right here is where the car is. That's why they had a spotlight. So they spotlighted the car. But what I'm looking at is back here. And you're going to see the arm come down from this side to indicate a train's coming by. Watch when I hit. I'm going to hit play, and it's going to happen pretty quick. But pay attention to this corner. This right corner, top corner, okay? I'm going to hit play, and you're going to see the movement coming downwards here. Right where the burger is. So pay attention to the burger. Watch. Here we go. Look, the movement coming down. Look at the movement coming down. The accident already been happened. Look at the car over here. The car's thrown over here. She's dead. She was thrown all the way back over here. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, that was a tough one to see again in slow motion, man. That one hit me. Ooh, seeing someone like their last moments, because that's what that was, her last moments. there's definitely negligence with. Oh, this is a big lawsuit. This is in California too. So let's go back here. We're gonna see it again. Well, for the last time on regular play. Make sure when you see the accident happen, focus when it says burger. Look at this corner here. Look at the right corner, and then you're gonna see the bar coming downwards, like coming this way, like this. Okay, follow my cursor, and remember the burger. It's gonna be on this side, top right corner. Here we go. Okay, right here, the burger. Pay attention to here. But when the camera flips, when you see the vehicle crossing this way, pay attention to this corner. You're going to see this bar from this light right here come downwards. Would have prevent this car from moving up. These bars they weren't working, and she pulled up. The bells are probably, the lights weren't going off, nothing. You don't see the lights flickering, nothing. Here we go. There's no lights. Oh shit! Look at the train. Now you see the lights going off. Now look at the bar going down. Late. The car's already over here. The bar went down. So, oh man, I feel sorry for the guy. You know, I feel sorry for the individual that lost his wife or girlfriend, whoever she was to him. I feel bad for, he lost a child. She was 7 months pregnant. Like, a soon-to-be dad loses his girl and his baby at the same time. No, you know how devastating that is for him right now? That man is crying right now. As I'm speaking on this show, he's crying. That is incredible. That is a big lawsuit. Oh my God. California is this one's gonna hurt them. This is gonna hurt them a lot. I'm surprised, you know, this is not more national news. This should have been national news, but it's not national. That's wild. All right, let's keep it moving. Give me 1 second.
Say more than $1 million in food stamps and COVID-era unemployment benefits were spent fraudulently. And now 4 Massachusetts residents are facing charges. WBZ's Louisa Moeller shows us how this scheme worked.
We walked into El Primo restaurant in Leominster looking for answers, but no one was available to take our questions. What's advertised as a home for authentic Dominican dishes, federal officials say was a hub for fraud.
These defendants use stolen identities from victims across the country.
U.S. Attorney Leah Foley told reporters that the owner of El Primo, 37-year-old Raul Fernandez Vicioso, and 3 others, including 2 Venezuelan nationals, used stolen identification to fraudulently collect more than $400,000 in federal food assistance benefits, or SNAP, and $700,000 in federal unemployment benefits from Rhode Island and Massachusetts. These pictures from court documents showing how the group allegedly used the funds to buy food in bulk and use it in the restaurant. Investigators say Rhode Island officials picked up on the fraud in 2024 when they linked 117 stolen identities to 2 addresses being used by the group on their benefit applications. When they notified Massachusetts, that's when Foley says the ball was dropped.
They turned those cards off. They did not make any referrals to any of these federal agencies or to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
But all 50 states accept SNAP applications online, only a handful using extra security measures like chips on EBT cards. Foley argues that fraud is rampant everywhere. Her office part of a bigger effort to combat it, with President Trump announcing a newly created fraud czar in the last week. The Massachusetts Department responsible for distributing federal benefits told us with federal investigators when these allegations came to light and did not independently report the fraud because Rhode Island had already done so. In Leominster, Louisa Moeller, WBZ News.
That's wild. All right, let's keep it moving. Oh, this is the Niagara Falls.
Wonder of the world turning into a real life wonder land.
Oh no!
To the U.S.-Canadian border, battling frigid.
I think I'm gonna have to go.
to catch a glimpse of a partially frozen Niagara Falls.
Oh, look
We never
how
thought
beautiful.
about coming here. And it seemed like a
Hold
great
on. Let me make
The
communications
frozen
here.
Cascades stunning visitors at this
I'm
unlikely
gonna
cold
have
weather
to go over there.
destination.
It's chilly, but it's beautiful. It's definitely a
I got to do my show live
And while these
from there.
formations might make it look like the falls
Oh,
are
let me see.
completely iced over, the
Let me see what I
strong
can do.
currents of more than 20 million gallons every minute, too powerful to freeze completely, still flow underneath the frozen layer of mist and spray. But the so-called ice bridge can reach up to 10 stories tall, according to Niagara Parks. The river only completely halting once in 1848, blocked by an ice jam. But the
Wow,
spectacle
look at that.
enduring for over
I
a
seen
century,
video
like this severe winter
and
in
pictures.
1904, again in 1934.
Look at that.
Niagara Falls was brought almost to a standstill.
And more recently during the polar vortexes of 2014 and 2015.
They're even more beautiful frozen than in the summertime.
Today, the frozen
Wow.
falls can only be safely observed at a distance.
The way everything's kind of frozen over, it's all looks really nice.
And those that make the trek fall for its beauty.
Aw.
Chase Kane, NBC News.
We thank you for
Wow.
watching, and remember, stay updated
Hey, at
on
least
breaking
you got
news
it
and
on
top stories on the NBC.
NBC. They got the free footage there of proposal. That's pretty crazy, pretty cool. This goes straight to the liberal hive mind. Oh, the volume.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Today's not a great day to be a leftist grifter. They wanted so bad to turn this Epstein thing against President Trump. It was clearly a Democrat scandal of the deepest kind since day one. The only president who should be under the hot seat is friggin' Bill Clinton. But they wanted so badly to make it all about Donald Trump. They wanted the words Trump and Epstein to become synonymous in the cultural zeitgeist. But yeah, let's just say that didn't go so well for him. And now I could say it's officially backfired, as the pressure is now mounting on the Democrats and their favorite big-time donors. Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman are now officially on the back foot. They are in full-on panic mode. It appears the internet isn't exactly buying it. They've now both made official statements, official responses. Let me show you guys exactly what's being said here. And most importantly, look at the panic in his eyes. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So this now actually comes after Melinda Gates, Bill Gates' ex-wife, issued a statement calling on Bill Gates to address the allegations. And well, he has. Take a look.
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there.
What?
It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a
Fucking
mistake,
liar, man.
it had nothing to do
Guy's a
with
fucking. You trust
And I
this creep?
chose that video to play in particular because
fucking
there's
creep,
some commentary attached to it relating to his body language and some of the language that he chose to use. I think it's actually very interesting. He's using disassociative language. It does, in a way, kind of appear manipulative, as if he's trying to distance himself. No, me? Never. Now, while I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, I will tell you that it's a little bit suspect, especially the way he's trying to downplay the relationship and the way he instantly points to Jeffrey Epstein emailed himself. Well, that leads to another question. Why? Why would he email him something so oddly specific? Not to mention there was no accusation of any underage individuals, just rather Russian girls, but he even denies that. I gotta tell you, it seems incredibly defensive. And well, let's just say if you scroll through the comments section on any of the reposts of this video, the people certainly don't seem to buy it. You can tell I'm being a little bit careful here, considering Bill Gates is one of the most powerful people on planet Earth. I'd rather not draw the ire of his legal team, but the internet is incredibly skeptical. And actually, speaking of skeptical reactions, well, if you listen to his ex-wife, Melinda Gates, after she was asked about the content of the email, well, I'd really like to point out that she doesn't go on the record denying any of it, then pivots to a general condemnation, mostly focused on the young girls that were harmed in this entire Epstein operation.
The emails and the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection. and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Bullshit.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad.
I don't know, not exactly an enthusiastic defense, especially with the instant pivot of I had to leave, I had to divorce him. The whole thing is just sketchy. And speaking of sketchy, we're getting these little tidbits of information. Here's a previous report related to the Gates family that, again, is not necessarily evidence of any personal wrongdoing on Bill Gates' side, but is certainly suspect considering the alleged and potential ties to Epstein.
State. And tonight he's charged with having and trading a massive amount of child pornography. KIRO 7's Gary Horker is live near the Gates compound in Medina. And Gary, this man worked as an engineer for the family.
That's what SPD and intelligence found out, Steve. They found out that the man actually worked for the Bill and Melinda Gates mansion on the grounds of their sprawling 66,000 square foot estate. And that's where they found him and questioned him last March. The estate is behind us right on the lakefront here, but this is a few blocks away and it's as close as their security will allow us to get. But according to King County prosecutors, 51-year-old Rick Allen Jones was questioned by detectives about images of porn and even child that were sent from Jones's home computer.
Now that, my friends, I'd say is a very odd coincidence. Of course, it's not evidence of personal wrongdoing on behalf of Bill Gates, but I'd say, we're kind of painting a picture here. There's a lot to answer for. Whether we'll ever get that answers, that's another conversation entirely, especially, again, considering what I mentioned not so long ago, that Bill Gates is one of the most powerful and also technically savvy individuals on planet Earth. The idea that Epstein and everyone surrounding him, that they would leave traces of potential criminal behavior seems rather unlikely, but something clearly stinks, and I pray every single day that we'll get to the bottom of this. But now moving on from Bill Gates, we've got the second individual who was very clearly in a very close relationship with Epstein. We've got Reid Hoffman, who's now also on the back foot defending himself. Very similarly to Bill Gates, he's claiming that actually they had barely a relationship at all. He claims that he only knew Jeffrey Epstein because of a fundraising relationship with MIT, which I very much regret. In 2019, I told Axios that the last meeting I had with him was in 2015, but I was mistaken, as according to the calendar entries, I've become aware that there were additional fundraising meetings in 2016 and 2018. He has become aware. Again, dissociative language seems oddly manipulative. He claims that these meetings were all coordinated by Joy Ito, then director of the MIT Media Lab, yada, 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 all these specific meetings. He then claims that he has done multiple calendar searches, and if he does find any other meetings, he will continue to share them. Oh, it's funny that you do that now, all of a sudden. And also, how are we supposed to give this guy the benefit of the doubt? But anyways, this whole claim that, he barely knew the guy. I think that's a pretty hard argument to make when we have emails like this, sending messages to Jeffrey Epstein about giving him gifts and ice cream for the girls, then something that may strike his funny bone for the island, going back and forth about his workout regimens and workout routine. And we've got this one. This is from Jeffrey Epstein to Reid Hoffman, where he says, okay, come to Island Ranch. Let's play. Yeah, it just doesn't add up now, does it? This dismissive language. Oh, he only knew him for fundraising purposes, as if Reid Hoffman, the billionaire owner of LinkedIn, needed Jeffrey Epstein's money. And MIT, with a $20 billion endowment, needed him to raise money from a already known and convicted sex offender, an individual that he clearly kept a very buddy-buddy relationship with. He claims that he regrets it, but also has been lying throughout the last couple of years, claiming that the relationship ended such a long time ago. But apparently that relationship continued to 2018, when Jeffrey Epstein was basically outed to the public at that point. Yeah, again, if you simply read the comments, the people, the internet, doesn't seem to be buying it at all. And also, it really makes you wonder why Reid Hoffman was so worried at the prospect of Donald Trump getting elected to office.
He is elected, I will get penalized. So I'm just gonna stand out of it. And
do you think you'll be penalized?
I think that there's a greater than 50% chance that there will be repercussions.
What a creep.
From a misdirection and corruption of the institutions of state to respond to my having tried to help Harris get elected. Like, I think I would safely win a bet that there will be
what an idiot
repercussions that are essentially undemocratic, un-American,
and direct on you.
And direct to me, yes.
I mean, this guy spent millions upon millions of dollars to attack and destroy President Trump. Many people don't know, but he was actually the individual who bankrolled E. Jean Carroll's entire slanderous legal attack against the president. I don't know. Again, a lot of this just doesn't make sense. And the whole premise here that the left was running with, Reid Hoffman seems to be running with as well. He continues to point the finger at President Trump, but they keep telling you that Donald Trump was an accomplice with Jeffrey Epstein, but there's not a single email from the Epstein files that makes any connection between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, all the actual emails seem to corroborate what we already knew, that him and Trump were mostly at odds, and that he had rejected most of the advances, the honeypot operations. But these guys seem to be actual friends with Jeffrey Epstein, who willfully interacted with him even after the truth about Epstein was revealed. It's backfiring, folks. It's backfiring bad. And you could tell they're panicked. You could see the panic in their eyes and in their vigorously typed tweets. It's not going the way they'd hoped. And that, I got to tell you, I'm really not surprised by. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Okay. So let me set up the videos for the next video we're going to be watching. We got a few more to go. This one's a good 60 minutes long. So, yeah. All right, here we go. Mary King.
Now, we know that Bill Gates is in the files, right? But a lot of people are talking about how he basically begged Jeffrey, I'm not going to say certain things that got demonetized in my last video, begged him for antibiotics because he got an STD and he doesn't want to give it to Melinda. I'll read that to you because she's responded to it. He's now responded to it. But that is not the most important thing. You guys know I'm not into all the gossipy type things about this. But there is something that is very, very important that we have to pay attention to, especially as we are in these last days. Those are the things that we need to pick out and pay attention to because they're giving us the signs of the season that we are commanded by Jesus to know that we are in these times. Okay, so you can see in this image, Jeffrey Epstein, it seemed like he would sometimes send emails to himself. I don't know if these were drafts or he wanted to have it on another computer, or maybe an assistant would look through it and like clean it up. Who knows, right? What this demon was thinking. But he's done this all throughout the files. But this is a response. He's actually writing to Bill Gates. Okay. So this is like a draft of what he was going to write to Bill Gates. So, but this is the thing. It says, to add insult to the injury, you then implore me to please delete the emails regarding your STD. Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda and the description of your male part. Side note, and I'm sorry I have to tell you this, but it is what it is. If you don't know, Harvey Weinstein as well as Jeffrey Boyd, well, they are both grossly disfigured in their male parts, like very tiny and very disfigured. I just thought I would add that in there. That is a known fact in case you don't know, just so you can understand how these demons are working and moving out here and why these men in particular are doing these types of things. But let's continue. You also made it clear to me that I am not to refer to blank, as that is another topic that must remain between the two of us.
What?
In return for all these requests, which I have done without a second thought, I am not to attend meetings with Melinda. I should continue to provide you the same level of service and dedication that I have done so diligently until you are ready to discard me and our friendship.
What?
And then down here, this is another thing. He said, I have decided to resign my position effective immediately with BG3 and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I have not come to this decision quickly. Okay, so this is just, I don't even know. He's resigning from that. And understand, this is after he was a convicted PDF. He was a convicted offender, sex offender. Okay.
Wow.
And he's working with all these people and sitting on boards and doing all of this. But
Crazy.
now Melinda Gates has responded to this, as well as Bill Gates. We'll look at that, but then we're going to get into the real serious matter. And let me say this, I can go down a deep rabbit hole about Melinda. It reminds me of Michelle in a lot of ways. But we're not going to go deep into that. But either way, she is a wicked and evil human person, woman. Okay. I don't even know who these are people. Okay. At this point, but understand this is I feel no sorrow or anything. She is part of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She's been in lockstep with this man and everything that he's done. Okay. Throughout his career, the things that the evil that he has put upon this world and still is doing to this day. So regardless of anything else, I don't know if they're trying to make her seem sympathetic and somehow, right? Because he was dealing with Jeff as though she knew about Jeff and he was sitting on the board and they were working together as well. So she needs to quit like she's some innocent lamb in the woods. No, this is a wicked, evil person. Both she and Bill Gates are demonic in every possible way. But let's just hear what she said.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life.
Now she said a little bit more like ask him or talk to him. I whatever. She said, you were married to Bill Gates. You have been part of all of this. Like, oh, please, like, let's not play games. She just said, but I just feel sad for those girls, but I've moved on and my life is different now. Like, really? Really? Well, we know justice is not going to be served, at least for now. But this is now Bill Gates.
Apparently, Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. I met Jeffrey in 2011. The focus was always, he knew a lot of very rich people and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. In retrospect, that was a dead end and I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior. Apparently, Jeffrey wrote an email to himself.
I mean, this creature is just lying. And I say creature because I do not believe he is human. But look at all the pictures. These are from the files, right? But he just went to dinners, but yet these girls' faces are being redacted out because they're victims. What? This is him on Jeffrey's plane, but he never went to the island, guys. He never went to the island. What are you? Does he think we're dumb?
Nah.
He obviously does. No, this right here is a list I'm going to read in a second, but I want to show you this first because I want to get to the meat of what's going on because you've got to see this. So this is from Liz Churchill. It says horrific. This is what is in the files. Okay. It says, I've been thinking a lot about that question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have the answer. Now, this is director Barry Josephson's he sent this to Jeffrey Epstein. I said the name. Well, hopefully it's not too bad. 10 years later, Bill Gates demanded that the entire world be vaccinated. I've got more to show you, but in case I forget again, I want to go ahead and show you guys this. So this is my merch store, realmelanieking.com. The link is below if you want to support what I'm doing over here, the research and all these different things. The links to how you can support me are down there. But one way is to get some of this merch exclusively designed by me over here. Okay. And I felt a conviction to change my merch up so that it is more faith-based, proclaiming the name of Jesus,
nice.
but also things that are
I like
inspirational.
the
And I'm going to verses on bugs, all different types of things. But I'm do some more this but home kicked everything out wide. It is a redacted
$6. I'm gonna have to buy it.
Is continuing. They're shadow banning me because they don't want the truth out, and we know they don't.
Yeah, they don't want the truth out for a reason. But
she does really you can check it out, realmelanieking.com. The link's below, and yeah, let's get back to it. So this says, by the way, the Bill Gates STD email was in July of 2013.
Redacted shirt.
In March of 2013, right? So when he was probably panicking, like maybe for some months or trying to figure out how to fix this, it says Bill Gates is offering $100,000 to whoever can make a next generation condom. I kid you not. I kid you not, but we have more. We have more. So yeah, they were talking about killing off all poor people. And then we had COVID while they were cooking this up. And so much has been released about COVID through these files. But it says Bill Gates to Jeffy, preparing for pandemics. Let's discuss next steps. For example, how to officially involve the WHO and CDC. I hope we can pull this off. So this is an email, okay? Once again, from Bill Gates, talking about this as well as how to get rid of all poor people. But look at this. It says Jeffy, Bill Gates, and another redacted person, started preparing for the pandemic from as early as 2015. And in 2019, just 1 year before COVID, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation invested in BioNTech, an investment that skyrocketed as it sold the COVID vaccine. Is that not wild? But I'm going to go back to this other thing. Which one is it? Okay. Do you remember I told you about that patch, the quantum dot patch, right? That goes on the hand. Well, now this is being talked about more. This is a Bill Gates funded patch that permanently inserts quantum dots under your skin, as well as a QR code to be used as a vaccine passport. But also, they now have the technology to inject things into you that will change your DNA permanently.
Wow.
So a lot of people, or I thought when I found this out, no one was talking about it, that could be the mark of the beast technology. Now, I think because Bill Gates' name is attached to it, and it still is not getting a lot of traction, but I think anything associated with Bill Gates, everyone will reject. And why would the enemy tell us his plans and just, beforehand, so everyone could just reject it outright, right? People are going to be wanting to receive this. They're going to want it. So somehow this is going to be changing hands. This is going to go to somewhere else, or the technology is going to be sold somewhere else. I don't know. They're going to make sure that this is available, I believe. for the next pandemics that they are planning, which Tony Blair, who is in the file, said and sits on the board of peace, the executive board of peace, he slipped up at the WF forum and said that they need to track, governments need to track who is getting their vaccines for their multiple vaccines for the pandemics that will be coming out. That was a slip up because he looks kind of like, oh no, I shouldn't have said that during that video. I've played it 1,000 times, but just look at this list. It says Bill Gates allegedly got an STD from a hooker and then tried to secretly drug his wife with antibiotics so she wouldn't know. Seeks to reduce the global population by 10 to 15% using vaccines. Views India as a laboratory for experimental drugs. Funds the development of permanent quantum dot implants for vaccine passports. Told you about that. Laughs uncontrollably while warning about bioterror attacks. Funds HFN1 bird flu gain of function experiments, sponsors illicit biolabs in Africa, funds self-assembling microcrystal anti-fertility implants. But besides that, he also helped fund a tick that makes us allergic to meat. And people have died from this, as well as he has developed bioengineered meat and butter that is contracted already with schools, prisons, hospitals, and airlines, and some restaurants. And they do not have to disclose to you that it is bioengineered. It's not like packaged food in the grocery store. But even now, we can see with the whole Campbell soup incident, you can't even trust anything that's on packaging. Not that I would eat that junk, but understand they are they're finding a way to put pesticides on organic fruits and vegetables, on organic food. And of course, that again is funded by Bill Gates. The list goes on and on, but I thought I would give you that update. It's insane out here, but guys, this truth is coming out to the masses. Many of us have known these things, but now we're seeing more people wake up. I have seen so many people say that they are, maybe they should read the Bible. Maybe the Bible is true. Maybe Jesus is real, but because of how dark these files are and the things that have come out, it's shocking the system, like people who have not been awake and they're seeing, like, where can we turn to? The government's not going to protect us. A politician's not going to protect us. They told us to move along. There's nothing to see here, folks. No one's going to jail. There is no system of justice that is going to defeat this. And they know we have no power. This is what I told people were talking about. They're going to, that's why we have the Second Amendment. We're going to do all that. And I'm telling you now, when push comes to shove, they have us in a position where we need to work. We don't have there is no organization that is going to take place. People have to go to work. They have to provide for their families. They're having the massive layoffs. And now AI, it's another report that AI is completely taken over certain sectors of work. They have us essentially as slaves, or they think they have us as slaves. But as more people wake up, more people will be getting in their word, more people will be believing in Jesus. And we know that this time of truth is the season right before Jesus Christ returns, as the Bible tells us. And this is why all of this is being revealed. But with that, like I said, go to Real Melanie King to get some merch as well if you want to support me below.
Creepy.
And the links are in.
Epstein's just like, Bill Gates is a fucking creep. He's trying to kill the world. That's what he tried to do with the fucking COVID shit. But let's keep it moving. Oh, hold on. Let me put the volume.
Bars here in Florida because police say he drove 1,500 miles to kidnap two teenage sisters. Where did he meet him? He met him on Roblox.
What?
Chris Couch spoke with the sheriff about the disturbing details of the crime.
Good afternoon. This 19-year-old man drove more than 1,500 miles all the way from Omaha, Nebraska, down to Indiantown, where he allegedly took two young sisters, 15 and 12 years old, who he was communicating with through the online gaming platform Roblox.
My God.
Two sisters from Indiantown are safe and back home after their parents reported them missing last Saturday around 8 p.m. Information provided by family members was vital to investigators, and police later discovered the girls had been communicating since last year through the gaming platform Roblox and later through Snapchat with an adult.
We've not seen anything explicit necessarily, but we know our suspect was repeatedly
warning these young girls that he could get in a lot of trouble for what he was fixing to do. So he knew he was violating the law.
Authorities were able to identify the suspect as 19-year-old Sermu Lasey and
What the
discovered
fuck his
he
name
had
is?
driven for 22 straight hours on Friday from
The
Nebraska
fuck name is
to
that?
Indiantown, where he picked up the minors. Surveillance video were key in identifying the vehicle they were traveling in.
We were able to contact the Florida Highway Patrol,
Like collateral
the Georgia
damage.
State Police, and thankfully, the Georgia State Police was able to pull this vehicle over, take our suspect into custody, and rescue our two girls from the scenario that they had placed themselves in.
The sheriff said he believes they prevented something disastrous.
Again, we're dealing with a grown man that drove all the way from another state, an individual they never met in person, picked them up, and we really don't know what he was going to do.
Finally, the sheriff emphasized to parents the importance of monitoring the online apps their children use.
There is no application online that's safe. If you can communicate with somebody away from your house in the quiet of your own room, it could be a problem. So parents have to be vigilant. In this case, they were vigilant.
The suspect, who remains in custody in Georgia, faces 4 charges, 2 counts of kidnapping and 2 counts of interference with the custody of a minor. From Indiantown, I'm Adrian Criscott, NBC6 News.
Adrian, thank you. Talk to your kids. NBC, we
Yeah,
reached out
don't
to Roblox,
get them
and
on
they said
that
in Fort
fucking
Worth, we are
app.
investigating
Shit.
this deeply
Roblox?
troubling
I
incident
never heard of it
and will
before.
fully support law enforcement. Roblox has robust safety policies to protect users that go beyond many other platforms and advanced safety guards that monitor for harmful content and communication. While no system is perfect, our commitment to safety never ends, and we continue to strengthen protections to keep users safe, end quote.
That's wild. Let's keep it moving. Hey! Chickens! Hey!
What's up, guys? Benny. One of the most intelligent things to ever happen on The View is when Whoopi Goldberg burped and farted at the same time. You can hear it right here.
He cared enough about his wife to pay that was gas. To pay that money.
Gross. This is worse than the Swalwell moment, and this is Whoopi Goldberg's Job of the Hut era.
We'll still believe that he cared enough about his wife to pay the.
Yeah, it's not great. And it's never really great what you hear on The View. It's often lies. Like, for instance, here, without evidence, no accusation of wrongdoing, The View suggests that Trump partnered with Epstein to sexually abuse young women.
I use it for my diabetes.
No surprise to any of you, but to hear Whoopi Goldberg being the person to level this accusation is pretty
Now,
grotesque.
the White House has not responded, and the president has not been accused of any wrongdoing and denies any knowledge of Epstein's alleged crimes. But this is a lot of, how many emails was it? Like
about 20,000 have been released this morning by the House Oversight Democrats. So
And I have 3 of them right here.
Emails and documents, I should say.
Yeah. But it
Or
is
Republicans released.
Yeah, it is really interesting to me that, for somebody who screams in the middle of the night on X, who sends out missives, that it's been crickets for the last little while, since people have been saying, well, what is your response to this? So what do y'all think?
Well, during Watergate, the phrase came up, the cover-up is worse than the crime. And that's what the issue that I'm having here. Time and time again.
I've heard enough.
Trump
You know exactly what it is. So they're like, oh, well, Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files. Well, guess who else's name is in the Epstein files? Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, no. Spaghetti-O. Whoopi Goldberg and other members of The View are mentioned in the Epstein files a lot. Oh, wow. Well, 2 can play at this game. Let's go ahead and take this and do a little research ourselves, and we'll show you the actual documents. The ladies of The View have been harping on the Epstein files for months. Like other members of their party, they thought that this was an effective way to attack Trump. But it would surprise you to find out that these are the same idiots who actually are mentioned in the Epstein files themselves. Let's go ahead and watch and see how many times were they, in fact, mentioned. Whoopi Goldberg is mentioned 24 times. 21 total times. Wow. Alyssa Farah is mentioned 20 times. That's a lot. Joy Behar is mentioned 3 times. Anna Navarro has been mentioned twice. Sonny Hosen and Sarah Haynes are mentioned 0 times. Whoopi Goldberg is mentioned 24 times. She's the most mentioned inside of the Epstein files. Goodness, Whoopi. Weren't you the one who was saying that the Clintons cannot ignore the congressional subpoenas and that they look guilty just by proxy
As
here?
I understand it, he's been given, who's been given such a wide breadth. Does this mean that President Clinton technically doesn't have to testify? If he didn't have to testify.
No, he has to, right? They've agreed to, certainly. And I think, the Clintons are playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
Oh, yeah, how did that work out for you? That's just so stupid. Oh, man. Okay. So they go on to say the Clintons should testify, and that clip went viral. They say the Clintons should testify. You got to get in this. Shut up. You got to testify. Because what you're doing here with Epstein looks dirty. Well, let's look at what Whoopi Goldberg was doing with Epstein. Oh, my. Newsbusters investigation discovered emails showing someone reaching out to Epstein on behalf of Whoopi Goldberg. Okay, so like an agent, right? Everyone in Hollywood has one. Requesting the use of his Gulfstream II jet to fly her to a White Feather Foundation charity in Monaco in 2013. What is the White Feather Foundation? For the conservation of life. The conservation of life. Look at this. Maintain, saving, whatever. It's just NGO slop. It's just CIA money laundering, NGO slop. None of this stuff is, they probably had everything. This is probably like destroyed by the USAID. It's just USAID. Right? It's just like none of these places are real. You can tell, you can see it, and like it makes your skin crawl. Thank you, White Feather Foundation. Look, they probably erased this board and wrote like 50 different USAID foundations on there that day and made the same 5 kids smile and wave. None of the money ever actually goes to these things. Why did Whoopi Goldberg have to go to one? I don't know. She should have to explain. White Feather Foundation. She needs to depart direct to Nice, France, on a private jet. Yeah, it's like a $50,000 or $100,000 trip. It's very, very expensive. Whoopi Goldberg needs a private plane to Monaco. Wow. They don't want to charter. They're looking for private owners. Wow. Goodness. Could I get the Gulfstream too? Obviously, the more money we keep, the more it goes directly to charity. And then it says, I'm sure the jet owner could attend the fete and get fuel reimbursed. Otherwise, if it's paid for, we know the cost, we can factor it in. Oh, so she's inviting Jeffrey Epstein to a party. Oh, no. Epstein turned her down. No thanks. Whoopi Goldberg wasn't good enough for Epstein.
Enough about his wife to pay that was gas. To pay that.
Oh, it's great. Oh, man. Oh, look at that. No thanks.
Damn.
Oh, no. This is funny. Whoopi Goldberg begged for Jeffrey Epstein to fly her to Monaco. She invited him, too. And here's the actual DOJ filing page. Yeah, we give you that. You can see there's some fake emails out there and stuff, fake stuff out there. So there it is. Whoopi Goldberg begged Jeffrey Epstein to fly on his jet. Even Epstein thought Whoopi was too slimy to take on a plane and hang out with her.
Damn.
Amazing. Whoopi Goldberg wants everyone to know that she definitely did not go to Epstein Island. She definitely wanted to make sure that she got ahead of it all, right?
There was a fake list.
Yeah.
And I'm on it.
So you were on the island?
I was apparently, I don't know. They said I was on the island. They
Not very
said,
convincing.
and I'm like, I don't
don't go anywhere.
If the story was about a bus, it would be more believable.
Maybe, but
But sounds like you do go. Sounds like you do go places, because here's the email with your agent begging for Jeffrey Epstein to personally fly you across the world in his multi-million-dollar jet. So it sounds like you do go places. Joy Behar is mentioned. Joy Behar is mentioned. And you have a lot of mentions of, this would be news articles mentioned for Alyssa Farah. She was a spokesperson at the White House. Anyway, we'll show you the receipts. But yeah, it's always the people that you most suspect. Okay? It's great. I look forward to Whoopi Goldberg getting subpoenaed. What does she know? This game's getting fun. It's Boy Betting, like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't beg for Jeffrey Epstein's jet, for him to come with you to France. See ya.
Yeah, I ain't flying no fucking Epstein jet. You kidding me? All right, we're coming to the last two videos of the night, and it's all Tyson de la Cruz. So let's go ahead and watch.
Our teams went inside and found evidence of possible biological material, including refrigerators with vials containing unknown liquids.
America, the FBI and Metro Police just raided a home in East Las Vegas and found refrigerators full of vials containing unknown biological substances. One person arrested, hazmat teams on the scene, neighbors in shock.
The home raided by Metro and the FBI on Sugar Springs Drive is owned by two people, David He and Xiaoyang Wang, both listed by the Department of Justice as defendants facing conspiracy and fraud charges.
But here's the part that should terrify you. Both named by the Department of Justice in connection to an illegal biolab in California.
At least 20 different infectious agents, from herpes to malaria,
Damn.
COVID, all being stored. Investigators also discovered nearly 1,000 mice being
What?
bioengineered.
And they just set up shop in Las
You
Vegas.
in right? So we got Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yo, I want a Mutant Ninja
What is
Turtle.
up, guys? Tyson de la Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you exactly how these Chinese criminal networks are operating illegal biolabs on American soil. Let me walk you through what happened Saturday morning in a quiet East Las Vegas neighborhood near Washington and Hollywood. Just before 6 a.m., the FBI Metro Police Springs Drive.
Andrew Wiggins says in his 7 years living near Sugar Springs Drive, he never thought
biological or, that's serious. So it can affect not just one area, it can affect us all quickly.
Neighbors obviously had no idea what was happening in that particular house. And then federal agents show up in hazmat suits and start removing refrigerators containing vials of unknown liquids. Good thing it wasn't Diddy's house.
As police and the FBI can discern evidence of possible biological material at a home in this East Las Vegas neighborhood, ABC sources are confirming that the person arrested during Saturday's raid is the property manager.
Sheriff Kevin McCanhill held a press conference and confirmed they found possible biological material inside the home. But here's what he wouldn't say. What's in those particular vials? Who was the person arrested? And how long this operation had been running?
We have one suspect who I was informed that we were taking him into custody as we were walking in here. We're not prepared to release any information on that individual.
That's what the sheriff said. But ABC News sources confirmed the person arrested was the property manager, not the property owners. The owners are David He and Zhijing Wang. And they're already facing federal charges in California. So let me get this straight. Federal agents raid a house, find biological material, arrest the property manager, but the actual owners who are already facing federal fraud charges in another state are still walking free. Now let's talk about who actually owns this Las Vegas property, because this is where the Chinese connection becomes crystal clear.
McMahill says one person was arrested for alleged involvement with a biological lab inside the home.
Our teams went inside and found evidence of possible biological material.
Nevada public records show the home is owned by David Hurry and Zhijing Wang. But here's the twist. David Hurry is an alias. His real name is Jia Bizu, a Chinese national who's been using multiple fake identities for years.
According to ABC News sources, the investigation began as a code violation call when authorities began to suspect that illegal biological research materials might be stored at the property.
Somebody reported a problem with the property, and when authorities showed up looking into it, they discovered possible illegal biological research material. That's when the Joint Terrorism Task Force took over. Let me rewind that back. Let me repeat that. The Joint Terrorism Task Force, not local police, not code enforcement. The federal task force that handles national security threats took over for this particular investigation. That tells you everything you need to know about how serious the situation was.
Back in October 2023, the Department of Justice announced the arrest of Jia Beizhu, who allegedly goes by many other names, including David Hur.
So Jia Beizhu, who goes by the name of David Hurry or David He, and probably a dozen other names, was arrested in October 2023 and running a illegal biolab in California. And while he's facing federal charges, he somehow managed to buy a property in Las Vegas and set up another biolab operation. Now, let me take you back to the California operation because you need to understand the scale of what these people were doing. In December 2022, a code enforcement officer in Reedley, California, a small town near Fresno, noticed a green garden hose coming out of a warehouse that wasn't supposed to be there.
Nearly 1,000 overcrowded bioengineered mice, vials of blood, and this list of infectious diseases, including malaria, E. coli, chlamydia, COVID, and many others. That was what was found in this warehouse in Reedley.
And that's obviously what they just could identify.
Investigators also discovered nearly 1,000 mice being bioengineered and caged in inhumane conditions. Many of them were dead when they got there.
The CDC tested the substances and detected at least 20 potential infectious diseases. These weren't just samples sitting in a particular lab. They were active biological material being stored in a warehouse with no proper safety protocols.
Those medical devices include hundreds of thousands of COVID-19 and HIV test kits and pregnancy tests here in the U.S. and in China.
But here's what they were actually doing with all of this: manufacturing and distributing hundreds of thousands of fake C19 and HIV test kits. They were selling these fraudulent tests in the United States and in China. No FDA approval, no quality control, just fake medical devices being sold to unsuspected people.
The hazardous electricity wires without permits, including added outlets for running refrigerators and freezers, unmarked stored highly flammable chemicals, and medical devices in cardboard boxes, made fire probability high and the risk of a possible explosion.
And the safety conditions were so bad that the Reedley fire chief sent a letter warning a potential disaster.
Look at
for
that.
our
That's
city.
a fire hazard.
Electrical wiring, highly flammable chemicals stored in cardboard boxes,
Wow.
risk of explosion. They had to plan an evacuation zone that included the police department, city hall, a school district office,
my
and
God.
12 homes. Now let's talk about who's actually running this operation, because this isn't some lone wolf. This is an organized Chinese criminal network with connections that go all the way back to China.
A year later, Talbert announced a superseding indictment charging his romantic and business partner, Jiaoyan Wang, who was accused of operating the biolab.
Jia Beizhu's romantic and business partner, Zhijing Wang, the same person who co-owns Las Vegas property, she was indicted a year after Beizhu for operating the biolab. So this is a husband and wife criminal enterprise running an illegal biolab across multiple states.
The criminal complaint reads that the two allegedly illegally imported hundreds of thousands of Chinese-made COVID test kits by declaring them as pregnancy test kits.
And here's how they were smuggling these fake tests into the country. They were declaring them, get this, as pregnancy test kits on customer forms. So U.S. Customs thought that they were importing pregnancy tests, but they were actually bringing in hundreds of thousands of fraudulent C19 tests from China.
Through further investigation by the House Select Committee on China, Congressman Jim Costa unveiled a 40-page report in November of 2023, revealing unsettling discoveries found in the Reedley Biolab.
The House Select Committee on China got involved and released a 40-page report revealing even more disturbing details about this situation. Those 1,000 mice weren't regular lab mice. They were transgenic mice designed to simulate a human immune system. And according to a worker, they were genetically engineered to catch and carry the C19 virus. Let that sink in. They had 1,000 mice genetically engineered to carry C19 in a warehouse with no biosafety protocols, stored next to 20 infectious agents while manufacturing fake medical test kits. And when it got shut down in California, they just moved the operation to Las Vegas. Now, let me show you how the criminal network operates, because the fake identities are just as important as the biolabs themselves.
U.S. Attorney Philip Talbert said in part, quote, "As part of his scheme, the defendant changed his name, the names of his companies, and their locations."
The U.S. attorney said it explicitly. As part of this particular scheme, the defendant changed his name, the names of his companies, and their locations. This is systematic identity fraud designed to evade law enforcement. Jia Beizhu has operated under at least 4 different names. Jia Beizhu's Jesse Zhao, Kang He, and David He. He created multiple companies: University MedTech Incorporated, Prestige Biotech Incorporated, and probably a bunch of others that we don't even know about.
Jesselyn Harper is the Reedley Code Enforcement Officer who found the green garden hose at the lab in December 2022.
And when the claim was filed against us, it gave us a reason to start reaching out to him and communicating with him again. When he actually showed up, it was a realization of this is actually happening today.
And here's how they finally caught him in California. The code enforcement officer lured him in to the Reedley location by pretending he needed to discuss the property. When he showed up, federal agents were waiting for him. They arrested him at gunpoint right there on that property. But even after his arrest, even while facing federal charges, he and his partner managed to buy a property in Vegas, set up another operation. How is this possible? How does someone under federal indictment for running an illegal biolab get to buy another property and do it again? So what did the federal agents find in the Las Vegas home? Because the sheriff is being very tight-lipped about the details here.
That locked garage. Sheriff McMahill confirming once again what our investigation team first reported, that this is actually part of a broader federal investigation in California.
Refrigerators with vials containing quote-unquote unknown liquids. That's all they say publicly. But based on the California operation, we can make an educated guess about what was actually in those vials. Probably some blood samples, some tissue samples, infectious agents, or material to manufacture fake testing kits.
Sheriff McMahill reports that this is an isolated incident with no threat to the public. He says they will release more information on the investigation in the coming days.
But if there's no threat, why was the Joint Terrorist Task Force involved? Why did they take over? Why did they need hazmat suits? Why are they being so secretive about what they found? And here's a question that nobody's asking. How many other properties do these people own under different aliases? If they had operations in California and Las Vegas, what about other states? The House investigation found that they were operating through multiple companies, multiple locations, multiple names. This could be a nationwide network. America, a Chinese criminal network just got caught running an illegal biolab on American soil twice. First in California with 1,000 mice engineered to carry C19, 20 infectious agents, and hundreds and thousands of fake kits. Now in Las Vegas with refrigerators full of unknown biological material. The same criminals, the same pattern, different state. And even while facing federal charges, they managed to set up another operation. The property manager is arrested, but the actual owners, Jia Beizhu and Xingjiang Wang, are still out there. This isn't just about one illegal lab. This is about a Chinese criminal network operating on American soil with apparent impunity. They use fake identities, create shell companies, smuggle materials from China, and when they get caught, they just move to another state and start over. The Joint Terrorism Task Force is involved for a particular reason. This is a national security threat, and the fact that it took a code enforcement officer noticing a garden hose to expose the California operation should absolutely terrify you. How many more are out there that we haven't found yet? Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Yo, it kind of pisses me off, right? But the way they discovered it, was because of the garden hose. You know, if that wasn't for that garden hose, who knows how long this would have been going on for more time. And a fucking garden hose, out of all things, through a wall? You don't think that's not a violation? You fucking crazy? Oh, man. And boy, when they went in there, I'm pretty sure the first thing, they were like, oh, shit, we got to get the fuck out of here. You know, we don't know what the fuck this shit is. And until they brought in more professionals and they're like, oh, shit, this is fucking crazy. What the fuck are we? They're like questioning themselves. That's a holy shit moment. But they're going to try to downplay it as much as possible. You know what I mean? Because that's, you guys just don't understand how huge that is. You know, those are bioengineered weapons. Bioengineered, and we don't need a big boom to kill people. We just get them sick. You know, we'll pass it to one person, we'll pass it to another. It's like a domino effect. Everybody starts getting sick at the same time. That's one of the greatest bioweapons that's out there, and it's very effective. And our government knows, but it's very hard to contain. That's the problem. You know, they're too busy. They're too distracted. Our leaders are way too distracted. You know, they're thinking about war games, and they're not thinking about homeland, you know, homegrown terrorism. They're not focused on that. But you're gonna see more of these stories coming out. This is nothing new. I talked about this show so long ago. Oh man. And the confirmation train is here. I heard it. But it's like it is what it is, you know. We're just witnessing it. We're alive to witness, and good thing we're witnessing. I did an add-on because I wasn't gonna make the 2 hour mark. I think I'm gonna be stuck on that 3 hour, close to that 3 hour. But it's okay. We're gonna keep watching, and we got a +1 here, so it's a Benny. I think he's a Benny Johnson. Let's put up the sound. No, it's Hillary.
What's up, guys? Benny. I can't believe they finally just admitted it. DOJ, in writing, right here, admitting that the official narrative of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide is a lie. They say it, they admit it, and, well, I got to tell you, man, this is a piece of evidence that we have been looking at all week.
Where is he?
This anonymous Reddit thread.
Where's Waldo?
We didn't know who it was from, but it was from allegedly somebody who worked with the
red and
president.
white.
We now know it was somebody who worked with the president. The name and identity of this individual.
Like Waldo with a blue
saying, listen,
he's the modern day Waldo.
Strange activity in Jeffrey Epstein's cell that night. Jeffrey Epstein was wheeled out of his cell in a wheelchair. He was handcuffed to that wheelchair. There were transfer vehicles that came up to the actual building itself. Jeffrey Epstein was switched out. Now, this would obviously indicate an inside job, that the official story that the tier block that Jeffrey Epstein was in was locked down and nobody went into or out of that tier block because it was the suicide watch tier block. And obviously you can't have a bunch of strangers or randos wandering around. Well, anyway, we found out that this
where he's at?
Allegation was actually made
in
by
a
Lieutenant Roberto Rovala.
He's living inside a silo
of the New York Metropolitan Prison.
He could live there
that night. He was working that night.
Decades.
And the feds went after him
without
hard
needing any
after making this
attention
anonymous
from the
post.
outside
Very
world.
strange.
He has it fully stocked.
He doth protest too
You
much.
know what I mean? This guy has
And now look
so
at
much
this.
money.
Newly released
Like,
Department of
he
Justice
has-
documents show the investigators reviewing
he has
surveillance
so,
footage from the night of
like,
Jeffrey
people
Epstein's death
living
observed
inside this
an
silo
orange-colored
with him.
shape moving up the staircase towards the isolated
That's
locked
wild.
tier where his cell was
I think
located
he's
at approximately
expecting something big to happen.
10:39.
Maybe a nuclear
Look at this.
war?
Here's the actual investigators.
war?
This is directly from the DOJ website.
Is that what we're heading towards?
Right here, let's read FBI analysis of the video.
Like
a flash
Will Russia
orange
attack Europe?
looks to be going up the L tier stairs, where possibly an
Will the
inmate
U.S.
was being
attack
escorted
Iran?
up to that tier.
Will
Here we go.
Iran
A flash
attack
of orange can be
Israel
seen going up the
and
stairs,
threaten the
and
U.S.?
inmates are currently on
Same time?
lockdown. It is possible someone is carrying an inmate linen or
Will the
bedding
U.S.
up the
drop the
stairs.
bomb
Here's how CBS
on
News
Iran?
reports it. Who entered Epstein's
really good
jail tier the night before his death?
Will the U.S.
Newly released video
will
logs
their
appear to
book
contradict
prosecutors again
official reports
and
just published
terminate,
from
make
CBS.
sure they
Newly
take
released
out
Department
the
of
whole
Justice
area,
documents show that investigators
like
are reviewing
once
surveillance
and
footage
for
on
all,
the night of Jeffrey Epstein's death,
like
observed an orange-colored
full
shape moving
force,
up the staircase toward
everything
his
you
cell.
got,
Late in the evening,
and
nearly
just tell
11
the
p.m.
motherfucker
That
to
entry of an observation log of a
demon
video
tone.
from the Metropolitan Center appears to suggest something
And if they
previously
throw,
unreported,
if
a
they
flash of
throw
orange
an
going up the
atomic
L tier
weapon
stairs.
or some
It
kind
also
of
appears,
biological
according
weapon
to an
at
FBI
Israel,
memorandum in the reviews, the
listen,
FBI log describes it as a fuzzy image,
B-2
possibly an
bombers
inmate. Let's
are
go
very
ahead
capable
and
of
watch.
8:38 p.m.
and
The
taking
report says
atomic
someone,
weapons.
probably Noel, carries a
They don't
bundle
need
of
those
bedding
big,
or
big
clothing
planes
up the
anymore.
stairs.
They'll
It's a
still
rare
use
instance the
planes
video
if they have
does
to,
catch movement on the stairs,
but
but barely. Let's
those
see that
bombers
zoomed
are,
in and in
especially
slow
the new
motion
one
again.
that came
Several
out.
of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report's conclusion and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period.
It is a limited field of view. You could just slunk upwards on the other side of the staircase and be outside of the camera range. Nonetheless, we know that there was an enormous amount of linen inside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell when he died. The entire cell was covered with linen. You've seen the images.
Yeah.
And of course, as you can see here in this very helpful diorama, this was Jeffrey Epstein's cell. You can see here is the camera. The camera angles, the only camera that was working, the camera angles, does not show the full staircase. So somebody could enter and exit, and of course, this camera was not working or has been deleted, which is what I assume. So here it is, right here. The Inspector General analysis of the video and the FBI analysis of the video both say that someone entered Jeffrey Epstein's cell block tier. Oh boy. So the noose they found on Epstein's cell was not the noose that strangled him. It's like a scene from Spinal Tap where they learned the drummer choked on vomit. But to quote Nigel, this was actually just somebody else's vomit. Noelle, who remained standing in the cell entrance, told investigators she saw Thomas lower Epstein to the floor, but did not see a noose around his neck. It has long been suspected that perhaps this was an inmate, a fellow inmate that went and killed Jeffrey Epstein, strangled him in his cell, if in fact he's dead at all, which, I mean, at this point, I'm willing to believe anything. Obviously, the memes were flying over all of this, and everyone was blaming Hillary Clinton. This report from CBS News, of course, has now gone viral. It contradicts official accounts, the official accounts that nobody entered or exited Jeffrey Epstein's cell tier at all, that the only possible person that could have been, and that he was left alone in his cell because he was on suicide watch, or in spite of the fact that he was on suicide watch, why the hell are the video logs just now being released? Yeah, exactly. Wait, a flash of orange more consistent with an inmate than a corrections officer. See on the video in Epstein's tier that Epstein died. The person was never identified, never even mentioned in the report of Epstein's death. What? New video proves that somebody entered Epstein's cell the night he died. This seems extremely relevant. We saw he died. Ha ha ha. Yes, however, they killed him. Crazy conspiracy theorists just running up the score now at this point. When it comes to everybody, when they say, you were wrong, you were right. The noose Epstein allegedly used has never been definitively identified. According to the Inspector General's report, a noose collected at the scene was later determined to not be the legitimate use of Epstein's death. Yeah, because there was no bloody linens. There were no bloody linens. You understand? If you're going to, if you're going to hang yourself, there's going to be bloody linens. There were none. Jeffrey Epstein, if in fact he is dead, was strangled in his cell by either a fellow inmate or somebody who knew how to make this look convincing enough that you could get it passed or pay for an autopsy, and maybe
came in or out of the tier bar said. That's crazy. Therefore, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
On the official narrative.
So let's consider that claim rationally. On the night of August 9th, Jeffrey Epstein was being held in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, the most secure part of the city's federal lockup. It would be physically impossible for a stranger to get in and out of this facility without an electronic pass and without being seen by the countless cameras in place between the street and the locked 9th floor of the building. So if Jeffrey Epstein was murdered, he was not murdered by an intruder, someone who came into the tier. He was murdered by someone on his own cell block, obviously. There were 7 other cells on Epstein's tier, and each one housed dangerous criminals. So if you were looking for a killer, you would figure out who was in those cells. But no one seems to have thought of that or done it. The Bureau of Prisons refused to provide us with a list of the inmates on Epstein's tier. It's not clear how many of them were even interviewed by investigators, despite the fact that some of them were transferred out of the facility shortly after Epstein's death. That's an oversight.
Wait a second. So, I mean, of course, this stands to reason. The only way that Jeffrey Epstein could have been killed is if somebody had done it on the inside. If somebody had done it inside of the prison. Now we can see videos of somebody wearing an orange prison-style jumpsuit, walking up, and then not coming back? What's that about? And are the prisoners just allowed to roam free? Of course they're not.
I don't understand it. It's just crazy, man.
This is it. This is it. And the DOJ.
He's probably in a resort.
It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll get to the bottom of this.
He's in an asylum. That's where he's at. He's still in an asylum. Have you seen those silos, those shows where they show the living and how they constructed these old time nuclear launching facilities, and they make them into like these multi-level of supposed paradise, and they make it like very sceney, so it makes it feel like you're in a different world, pretty much. I always found it weird because like it's just fucking weird, and they have so many freaking levels too. And could they just grab Epstein and put him in one of those silos and just lock him up in there? Like, it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, you'll never see him. He will always be inside there. They'll come in and they'll send someone in and out, like for food and stuff, like groceries and shit like that. And they'll have their own runners, but you'll never see that guy like face ever again. It's a possibility, That's like, yeah, we got you. They got him, but not really. He went through the back door and went to the silo. That's where he could be. He could be in a silo. That's crazy, right? This world, I'm telling you. Let's go ahead and watch the last video of the night. And that's Tyson the Cruz. Set it up. Let's watch.
You conducted that investigation. When did it conclude, and when do you plan to fulfill your promise to release its findings?
Well, I think we've seen the results. The results.
Where?
The results are that when I first became the governor, Maryland had the second highest SNAP error rate in the entire country. That since I've become the governor, we are now down 60%.
America, I just watched Maryland Governor Wes Moore get asked the simplest question in politics, and he literally walked away shaking his head. His team had to usher him past the reporter.
When he came into office, they said we had no deficit, and now we've got that huge deficit.
Maryland is facing a $1.4 billion budget deficit that's projected to balloon to $4 billion by 2030. More promises, no more tax increases, but he also won't tell you how much taxpayer taxpayer money is flowing to nonprofits. He won't release the SNAP fraud investigation, and he won't explain where the deficit came from.
It has been more than 365 days since Spotlight on Maryland began to relentlessly seek to understand the depths of Maryland's nonprofit industry that is receiving government funding.
Billions are flowing in the dark, whistleblowers are exposing fraud, and Wes Moore's response? Walk away from questions.
That's crazy.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you exactly how Maryland is hiding fraud, protecting corruption, and lying about their budget crisis. Let me start with the most basic question. Where did the $1.4 billion deficit come from? Because according to residents, Moore came into office claiming there was no deficit. Now suddenly there's $1.4 billion and climbing.
This budget does not raise taxes or fees on Marylanders. This budget maintains a very healthy 8% in the rainy day fund.
So he's promising no tax increases while facing a massive deficit. That means he's either cutting spending or he's absolutely lying. And based on what we're uncovering, I'm betting he's lying.
When we underfund state government, communities pay the price. When we invest in public services, everyone benefits.
Now watch this. The state employees union are already demanding Moore doesn't cut their budgets. They want cost of living increases, job security, better working conditions. So if he can't raise taxes and he can't cut spending, where's the money coming from? Here's what Moore won't tell you. Maryland's operating budget has grown 50% in the last 5 years. 50%. And he's acting shocked like there's a freaking deficit. This isn't a revenue problem. This is a spending addiction problem.
Can we afford to raise taxes and fees?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely not. It affects every small business owner.
And residents know what's coming. They're seeing through the quote unquote no tax increase promise, because when they're facing a $1.4 billion deficit and when you won't cut spending, there's only one place left to go: your paquitos. Or your wallet. Now let me show you where a massive chunk of Maryland's money is actually going and why they won't tell you about it. Nonprofits.
Roughly 6 months ago, this office and the Maryland General Assembly didn't really know how much taxpayer money was going to nonprofits. Can you give us an idea of how much money that the state is spending on nonprofits today?
I can't tell you that figure off the top of my head.
After 6 months of investigation, after being directly asked, Moore's team can't tell you how much taxpayer money goes to nonprofits. They say, I can't tell you the figure off the top of my head. This isn't complicated math here.
We're surrounded by inspector generals, yet this state, which is, I hear, is the richest in the United States of America, doesn't have an inspector general to watch out for the public.
Maryland doesn't have a statewide inspector general to watch taxpayer money. Why? Because they don't want the oversight. They don't want anybody tracking where billions and billions of dollars of taxpayer money is going. Maryland has over 42,000 registered nonprofits. Federal database shows they receive billions in taxpayer money, but that exact number they won't tell you. And when reporters show up at Maryland nonprofits headquarters to ask questions, they're told nobody's here to speak to you.
David Turner is a spokesman with the governor's office.
The reason why this is complicated is because every agency has a different grant-making process. There's no singular grant-making authority within the state of Maryland.
This, my friends, is what corruption looks like. Billions and billions of dollars flowing to nonprofits with zero transparency, zero accountability, zero willingness to answer basic questions, and Moore is sitting on a $1.4 billion deficit while refusing to audit where the money's going. Now let's talk about the fraud scheme the whistleblower just exposed and why Moore is running from questions about it. Multiple former DHS employees have accused senior officials of deliberately maintaining higher error rates on SNAP payments to delay the $240 million in federal penalties. We broke this down in depth in another video. I'll place the link for it somewhere above or in the description down below. But let me break down what happened. Senior officials at DHS allegedly created a plan to keep SNAP error rates high, meaning they deliberately didn't fix errors, hoping to delay penalties until after Trump left office, and the penalties might get canceled. This isn't incompetence. This is deliberate fraud. They were knowingly maintaining errors that cost taxpayers money, hoping that political winds would change.
I think the results show that any type of accusation that there was an artificially high manipulation is not accurate because it didn't happen.
So obviously what happened when the whistleblower exposed this? They got terminated. Classic retaliation for telling the truth. But watch how Moore responds when asked directly.
Did you know that was happening?
Well, no, and also I want to be clear that that's not the case.
So that's the whistleblower allegations are false.
No, what we have actually uncovered the fact that the allegations that were being made, those things were not happening.
He claims the investigation proved the allegations were false. But here's the problem. He won't release the investigation. I wonder why. He won't show you the findings. He just expects you to trust him that the whistleblower was lying. So let me get this straight. Whistleblowers expose a scheme to hide $240 million in penalties. They get fired. Moore claims an investigation cleared everyone, but he won't release the investigation. And when reporters asked who conducted it, he walks away shaking his head. That is not behavior of an innocent man. That is a behavior of somebody trying to hide something. Now, let me show you a pattern that connects directly to Maryland's nonprofit black hole. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott's wife worked for a nonprofit called Be More Empowered.
Mrs. Scott started working as the director of operations for Be More Empowered in September 2021. She started dating the mayor in 2022. Her employer began to receive money through the Baltimore city government in 2023, totaling $34,950 taxpayer dollars by 2024.
Let me give you the timeline here. September 2021, Miss Scott starts working for Be More Empowered. 2022, she starts dating Mayor Scott. 2023, Be More Empowered receives $34,000 plus from Baltimore City. July 2023, Downtown Partnerships awards them $80,000 day before pregnancy announcement. 2024, Baltimore Children and Youth Fund sends $62,000 plus. So after she starts dating the mayor, her employer suddenly gets nearly $180,000 in taxpayer money, and nobody thought that this was a conflict of interest.
It's definitely a conflict of interest. I'm not saying that's a that it's a problem necessarily, or that it's not allowed. However, when there are conflicts of interest, they need to be acknowledged. There was no communication about the conflict. There's been no communication about where the funds are.
And here's where it gets even worse. Be More Empowered hasn't filed a tax form since 2023. They're listed as delinquent on Maryland's charity database. And in September, they announced an organizational pause and got sued for not paying rent. So they take nearly $180,000 in taxpayer money, stopped operations, got sued for not paying rent, and nobody's asking where the money went. Miss Scott stopped working there in September. The same month they announced the pause and got sued.
If I had taxpayer dollars and I said, I'm just going to stop what I'm doing, I would expect that the money providers would be asking me questions, and I would have to be very clear with them where their money was.
And Mayor Scott's office, they won't answer any questions about whether they'll request the money back. They won't explain if it's a conflict of interest. They won't tell you how the money was spent. This is the same pattern. Take taxpayer money, refuse transparency, shut down operations, and nobody faces consequences.
Wow.
Now let's talk about Moore's proposed $70.8 billion budget for 2027. He says it addresses the deficit without raising taxes.
The governor's budget proposal is largely based on accounting tricks and adjusting anticipated spending increases rather than meaningful changes in budgetary policy.
Here's what Wes Moore is doing. He's claiming the deficit came from lack of federal investment because of the Trump administration. So it's Trump's fault that Maryland can't balance its budget, not the 50% spending increase over 5 years, not the billions flowing to nonprofits with zero tracking, not the SNAP fraud scheme. Trump's fault.
How about the casinos and all the gambling and the lottery winnings? How about maybe some of that money getting funneled to the deficit, maybe?
And residents are seeing through it. They're suggesting Maryland tap casino revenue, lottery winnings, other sources. But Moore won't do that because those revenue streams are already spoken for. Get this, they're going to the nonprofits and programs that he won't audit.
Do you have confidence in lawmakers that they're going to find a way out of this?
I'll withhold my judgment.
Do you have confidence in your lawmakers?
The local ones, not so much. Actually, none of them, not so much.
That's where Maryland residents are. They
Damn.
don't trust more anymore. They know tax increases are coming despite the quote unquote promises. They know the real problem: corruption and waste. America, Wes Moore is running the same playbook every corrupt Democrat runs. Create a massive deficit through reckless spending, refuse to audit where the money's actually going, hide fraud investigations, then blame Trump when the bill comes due. Maryland can't tell you how much goes to 42,000 nonprofits. Whistleblowers expose $240 million in SNAP fraud schemes and get fired. The mayor's wife's nonprofit took $180,000 and shut down. This isn't a budget crisis. This is a corruption crisis. The only way it gets fixed is if Maryland residents demand the same transparency Moore refuses to provide. Audit every nonprofit, release the SNAP investigation, track every taxpayer dollar. But Moore won't do that because transparency would expose the entire scam. And he'd rather blame Trump than fix the corruption that he's protecting. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
There you go. Thank you for that upload. We'll end the show here. Blame Trump. If you have a problem, if you're having a bad day, blame Trump. Bad Bunny wearing a dress in the Super Bowl. What are the chances? Blame Trump. Just blame Trump. Anything you do and say, we blame Trump. And you'll get away. Oh, man, I live in upside down. All right, guys, I'm getting tired. I'm ready done for the night. Already yawning and everything. I picked out the Pokemon pack I'm opening tonight because I have a little stack right here, and I pick out a deck. I'm opening a Destin Rivals tonight. You know, some people are very judgmental with Destin Rivals. I think it's a hit and miss with them. You know, sometimes the hits are pretty good. Sometimes they're not. So, you know, it is what it is. And still going to rip. That's going to be tonight's video. I already picked out the pack. So I'm going to wish you a good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Try to be on here tomorrow around the same time. And yes, I am boycotting the Super Bowl. I ain't watching that shit. Come watch me. We'll have a good time. I'll figure out something. We'll have a good time. All right, guys. Have a good night. And thank you for those who rewatch. I surely appreciate you guys and the ones who are watching. Thank you. I guess usually I'll be. But everyone else who rewatches, I truly appreciate you guys so much. I know we got to get this channel to grow somehow, some way. I told Tyson today I'm not bringing him back on until we get over 1,000 subscribers, because I don't think it's fair for him to come on here and be like, you know, we have great shows and we have great talk, but there's nobody here to really like speak or anything. So it's like, I got to do the groundwork. I got to build up the count, and we'll try to bring in more people, and then we'll figure it out down the line. So with that said, have a good night. I appreciate you guys so much. Peace.